Chapter 1. The man who collected her corpse. Su Yingxue was dead. Her biological father and stepsister destroyed her brotherhood and she became a wandering spirit. She watched helplessly as her corpse was exposed to the wilderness and eaten by wild beasts. Her face was unrecognizable. No one knew how many days and nights had passed. A man in a purple robe appeared. He glanced at the corpses on the ground. His arrogant tone carried a merciless ridicule. Su Yingxue, you are the daughter of the Marquis, yet you died so miserably. She floated in the air and watched as the man picked up her head and limbs one by one and pieced them together. Then, he carefully put on a wedding dress and a phoenix crown on her. His tone became much gentler, and there was a tinge of sourness. It looks so much better this way. Looks so much better. Su Yingxue shook her head. She felt that it was unbelievable. A wave of doubt was about to burst out of her chest as she clamored to ask him why he was doing this. Su Yingxue, from now on, you are my princess. The man's deep and hoarse voice was mixed with years of deep affection. Did he come here to marry her? Su Yingxue's heart trembled. How could that be? She had a terrible reputation and no one loved her. Why would anyone love her so deeply that they were willing to marry her corpse? I will bring you home. The man picked up her corpse. It was clearly broken and smelly, but he was careful and treated it like a treasure. Su Yingxue really wanted to shed a few tears for him. She tried her best to get closer, wanting to see the man's face clearly, but her vision was too blurry. She could not even see his eyebrows clearly. It hurt. Su Yingxue's muddled mind seemed to have been hit by someone, and it was so painful that tears flowed down her face. No. Wasn't she already dead? Where did the tears come from? Master, stop hitting. Miss did not do it intentionally. Accompanied by a hoarse voice, a familiar figure rushed over. Su Yingxue opened her eyes and saw the servant girl Jilan, who had died many years ago, blocking in front of her. She gave herself a tight slap. Did they reunite in the netherworld? Miss, are you all right? If you didn't push Miss Euro into the water, you should quickly explain it to Master so that you can stop suffering. Jilan's eyes were filled with worry. Even if she was hit a few times, she had to protect Su Yingxue. Pushing Su Euro into the water, getting beaten up, and Jilan. Su Yingxue's eyes widened. She was reborn? Unfilial daughter, you still refuse to admit your mistake. Su Dingheng roared and struck down with his rod again. I didn't do anything wrong. Su Yingxue suddenly stood up and held the rod that was about to swing down. Her heart was surging. She had really been reborn. 5 years ago, when Su Euro fell into the water on purpose, everyone thought that she was the one who pushed her. Her father, Su Dingheng, gave her a good beating. Her skin peeled, and her injury was serious. Jilan was also covered in injuries in order to protect her. Su Dingheng was biased and gave the 1,000-year-old ginseng that the emperor had rewarded to Su Euro to nourish her body. When her grandfather returned to court and found out about this, he was so angry that he spat out a large mouthful of blood. It was all because she was stupid. She had fallen for Su Euro's trick. Su Yingxue gritted her teeth. In her previous life, she had been coaxed by Su Euro until she was muddle-headed. She had only listened to her words and died miserably. She had even harmed everyone around her. She was filled with regret and unwillingness. Su Yingxue's eyes reddened for a while. When she raised her head to look at Su Dingheng, her gaze was as sharp as a knife. I didn't push Su Euro. She pulled me on purpose and fell on her own. Nonsense. Your sister is so gentle and kind. Why would she pull you? Su Yingxue, you're really vicious. It's fine if you bullied your sister in the past, but now that she's running a high fever, you still want to slander her. Su Dingheng was so agitated that he wanted to continue hitting Su Yingxue. Su Euro came out with disheveled hair and blocked Su Yingxue's path. Her small face was pale. Daddy, if you want to hit me, then hit me. Sister didn't mean it. I didn't stand firm. Euro, you're still burning up. Go back and lie down. Su Dingheng quickly threw away his rod and took a cloak to help Su Euro put it on. Seeing her so pitiful, he felt as if his heart had been ravaged by someone. Su Yingxue looked at the hypocritical Su Euro, and the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. She pulled her over and pushed her into the lake. Yuro! Su Dingheng exclaimed. He jumped into the water and saved her. Then, he turned around and rushed to Su Yingxue, raising his palm high up in the air. You unfilial daughter, how could you be so vicious to harm your sister in front of me? Su Yingxue dodged and did not let him touch her. Instead, she said expressionlessly, didn't she say that I pushed her? Since I've been wronged, why don't I make it real? She had been practicing martial arts since she was young and had a strong personality. In the eyes of outsiders, she was always the strong and Su Yuro was the weak one. Every time Su Yuro was sick or something happened to her, it was all because of her doing. When Su Dingheng saw Su Yuro frowning, he started to scold and hit her. In the past, she felt inferior because her father suspected her background. In order to gain his trust and love, she fawned over Su Yuro and was framed and insulted many times. Now, she would make Su Yuro pay for all the things that she had slandered her for. When Jilan saw the heroic Su Yingxue who was no longer humble and begging, her heart was incomparably shocked. It was as if her miss had changed into another person. Chapter 2, Medicine King Valley Sister, I know I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. Please spare my life. I'll definitely serve you carefully in the future. Su Yuro was protected well by the maids, but there were 2 lines of tears on her face as if Su Yingxue had done something unforgivable to her. However, she was already gnashing her teeth in her heart. Su Yingxue, who usually listened to her every word and did not dare to say anything even if she was wronged, what was wrong with her today? How dare she push her into the water in front of her father? The thought of it made her angry. She cried in front of Su Dingheng even more weakly, Daddy, don't blame sister wrongly. She also wants you to see her more and accompany her. It's my fault for hindering the father-daughter relationship between both of you. Before sister cools down, I won't be seeing you. Yuro, what nonsense are you saying? Daddy's heart aches for you. Su Dingheng held Su Yuro's hand and shouted at Su Yingxue, hurry up and apologize to your sister. You will soak in the lake for 2 hours. Before the time is up, you're not allowed to come up. Otherwise, it'll break your legs. Su Yingxue lost her mother when she was young. Although her grandfather doted on her, she longed for her father's love and never dared to disobey Su Dingheng's orders. She did not dare to move even when he punished her to kneel for half a day on a snowy day. At this moment, Su Yingxue sneered, Father, you can't differentiate right from wrong, and you don't know who's superior or who's inferior. You're punishing me, the legitimate eldest daughter, for a bastard child. No wonder grandfather refused to place you in an important position. What did you say? Su Dingheng was so angry that his face turned green. Not only did his daughter, who had always been submissive to him, disobey him, but she also exposed the fact that his father did not like him in front of so many people. It was no different from slapping him hard. He picked up his rod and beat Su Yingxue up again. Su Yingxue stood up straight. Father, is your hearing bad? If you hit me again because of an illegitimate daughter, if word gets out, outsiders will say things that are 100 times worse than mine. Su Dingheng's hand that was holding the rod trembled. Su Yingxue turned around and met Su Yuro's gaze. Her beautiful face carried a noble and cold temperament. Su Yuro, remember, if you accuse me of pushing you into the water again, I'll let you drown in there. Su Yuro's eyes were filled with tears, and her expression became more aggrieved. What nonsense are you talking about, you brat? Yuro is your sister. Su Dingheng's heart ached as he stood in front of Su Yuro. His eyes were filled with disgust and anger as he looked at Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue's lips curled into a mocking smile. She reached out to grab Su Yuro and threw her into the lake. In a panic, everyone was busy saving Su Yuro. It wasn't until she left that everyone's minds rang with alarm bells. The eldest miss was different from before. Su Yingxue brought Jilan back to the courtyard. Jilan gritted her teeth and supported her weak body. Miss, go back to your room and lie down. I will get a doctor for you. Su Yingxue caressed her hand. Good girl, go back and wait for me. I'll go get the medicine myself. Her mother, Princess Xu Li, was the #1 female doctor of the Great Cheng dynasty. Although she passed away when she gave birth, she inherited her mother's talent and knew medicine from a young age. She could learn faster than doctors who had studied for many years by flipping through medical books. It was not difficult for her to prescribe medicine to treat external injuries. But this time, she was not only going to take ordinary medicine, but also the 1,000-year-old ginseng that her grandfather had treasured. Her grandfather had stored the ginseng in a secret compartment in the pharmacy. Initially, he had only told her about it. However, in her previous life, in order to please her father, she had used this information to curry favor with him. As a result, Suyuro had casually fallen into the water and taken this 1,000-year-old ginseng through her father. This time, she wanted to strike first and gain the upper hand. She would not give them the chance to take advantage of her. However, as soon as she opened the box, a golden light flashed in front of her eyes and she entered an unfamiliar place. The green grass was like a carpet, and the fragrance of medicine wafted in the air. Not far away, the sound of a waterfall could be heard. "Don't eat me, don't eat me. I'll give you all the medicine King Valley. Don't eat me, boo-hoo, who are you?" The sound of a child crying rang in her mind, and Su Yingshu's head hurt from the noise. "I'm a spirit ginseng that has lived for thousands of years. A human accidentally plucked me, but I don't want to die. As long as you don't eat me, everything in Medicine King Valley is yours." Little Ginseng's voice was like that of a 3-year-old child, making one's heart ache. Su Yingxue looked at everything in front of her strangely. It was not a scene she had ever seen before. The rare herbs planted in the herbal field were hard to find in 100 years. When she saw the blood-clotting grass in the herbal field, her eyes immediately lit up. There's actually so much here. In her previous life, when she was beaten up, her big brother Su Hao gave her a stalk of blood-clotting grass. When she received it, she thought that he was stingy and only gave her one. Later on, she found out that blood-clotting grass could quickly heal wounds and strengthen muscles and bones. It was extremely rare. One stalk was worth thousands of taels of silver in the market. That stalk of grass that she received from her big brother was obtained from the military camp when he suffered serious external injuries. The military camp had allocated it to him so that he could participate in the military competition in the future after he recovered. However, he couldn't bear to use it and gave it to her, and she threw it away in a fit of anger. Now that she thought about it, she felt that she was so stupid. She continued to look and found that other precious medicinal herbs, such as crocus and sarcophagus, were also everywhere. It was simply a paradise for doctors. All kinds of beast horns and spirit herbs are in the pharmacy. Little Ginseng's voice lured Su Yingxue forward. There was an exquisite pharmacy in the valley. Rare herbs and equipment were all available. Most importantly, the water here contained medicinal qi. Su Yingxue drank a few drops of dew from the leaves. Not only did she quench her thirst, but she also felt that her blood was circulation well. The pain from being hit by Su Dingheng instantly disappeared. "Ginseng, is this your territory?" "Oh, you could say so. Let's make a deal. As long as you don't cook me, this place will be yours." The little ginseng was very generous. Although she could only hear its voice, Su Yingxue felt that this was a good deal. She blinked and returned to the pharmacy in an instant. The box was empty, but the little ginseng's voice kept echoing in her mind. "Don't worry, I can't run away once I'm in your body. If you need anything, call me anytime. I'm going to sleep first." Su Yingxue let out a long sigh of relief. She wondered why Suyuro had become a godly doctor in her previous life after eating the ginseng. She was sought after by everyone and became more and more powerful. So that was how it was. In this life, she wanted to firmly grasp this opportunity in her own hand. She picked out a few stalks of blood-clotting grass from Medicine King Valley and made it into a blood-clotting cream. She applied it on her wound and it quickly took effect. She called Jilan over and applied it on her wound. Jilan felt that the wound on her body suddenly didn't hurt as much. Her eyes were filled with surprise. "Miss, did you make this medicine yourself? Were the herbs very expensive? Don't use it on me. Save it and use it in the future." Her heart ached for the ointment. She wanted to scrape some off her body and put it back into the bottle. Chapter 3. A different miss. Although Su Yingxue was the first daughter of the Marquise family, she was usually very poor. Her clothes and accessories, as long as they were expensive enough to catch people's attention, were all taken away by Suyuro. She, who had always relied on Suyuro to be respected by her father, never cared. Moreover, Suyuro often framed her and she would get beaten up by the old master. She didn't know if these medicines would be enough in the future. Jillian's words made Su Yingxue feel even more foolish. She gave the entire bottle of medicine to Jilan and said in a calm tone, "Keep this bottle for yourself. We won't run out of medicine in the future." "Miss, you," Jilan was excited and agitated. Su Yingxue's actions today were completely different from her past self. However, she was also worried about her falling into Su Yuru's trap if she came to deceive her again. Su Yingxue could tell that this girl was worried about her, but it was inconvenient for her to tell her too much. She asked her about an important matter. "How's Big Brother's injury? Has there been any news from the courtyard?" Jillian's delicate brows furrowed slightly. "The eldest young master is wary of the old master and second miss. The people in the courtyard have always been tight-lipped, but yesterday, when I saw Xu Yang, who followed the eldest young master, send the military doctor out, his expression was solemn. I think eldest young master's injuries are not light." Speaking of which, Su Hao's injury was also related to Su Yingxue. Originally, Su Hao's competition would be held in a while, and the position of General Xiao Wei would definitely belong to him. However, she was deceived by Su Yuro and gave Su Hao a bowl of soup that Su Yuro had prepared. Su Yuro said that it was ginseng tonic, but she didn't expect it to be poisoned. Su Hao was a cautious person. He would never eat anything that his father and Su Yuro gave him, but he was not guarded against his sister. However, it was this bowl of soup that she gave that almost took Su Hao's life. Su Yingxue's heart ached just thinking about it. Su Hao was her biological brother from the same mother and had doted on her since she was young. How could she be so stupid as to let Su Yuro harm him, just for that pitiful and impossible fatherly love and sisterhood? It was ridiculous. Bang bang. There was a knock on the door, and Su Yingxue quickly restrained her expression. After Jilan opened the door, she found Xu Yang. She was about to say that Miss was concerned about the eldest young master's injuries when Xu Yang threw her a blade of grass and said coldly, "The eldest young master gave it to that idiot to treat her external injuries." This was Su Yingxue's place. Other than Jilan, there was only Su Yingxue. Jilan immediately frowned. "Who are you calling an idiot? Tell me who's the stupid one." "You." Jilan was so angry that her face turned red, but she didn't want to ruin the relationship between Su Yingxue and Su Hao, so she turned around and smiled. "Miss, quickly take a look at what this is. Eldest young master asked Xu Yang to send it over to treat your injuries. It must be good medicinal herbs." Su Yingxue pinched the blood-clotting grass, and her eyes were filled with tears. In her previous life, because her big brother did not use the blood-clotting grass to heal his injuries, he was secretly harmed by Su Jinxian in the martial arts competition. He had several broken ribs and even lost his position as General Xiao Wei. He always gave her the best, but she always hurt him and let him down. Su Yingxue wiped the corners of her eyes and entered Medicine King Valley with her eyes closed. She picked a few stalks of blood-clotting grass and added some rare herbs to make 2 bottles of healing ointment, intending to send it to Su Hao. Su Hao's courtyard was close to his grandfather's. There was a gilded plaque with the words Ling Xiao Garden inscribed by the emperor. A young and famous general should have been heroic, but because of her, he lay here recuperated. Su Yingxue had already felt guilty 1,000,000 times in her heart. She took the medicine and entered the courtyard. The manservants guarding the courtyard looked as if they had seen a ghost. There were even people holding sticks to guard against her, afraid that she would harm Su Hao again. Su Yingxue ignored their actions and walked towards Su Hao's bedroom. Xu Yang had received the news and had already raised his sword at the entrance to block the path to Su Hao. When he saw Su Yingxue, Xu Yang's face turned cold and his eyes were filled with disgust. "Eldest young master is asleep. He's not here. Get lost." Su Yingxue lowered her head. Xu Yang was only so annoyed with her because he was loyal to her brother. Her tone was filled with guilt. "I'm just here to see my brother. Please go and ask my brother if he's willing to see me." Xu Yang snorted coldly. He usually hated Su Yingxue the most. As Su Hao's sister, she had been brainless since she was young. As long as Su Hao didn't look after her, she would be instigated by Su Yuro. However, after Su Hao grew up, he had more things to do. He had to learn literature, practice martial arts, and fight on the battlefield. How could he look after her all the time? Su Hao hadn't been back for a few years, and Su Yingxue had been turned into a slave by Su Yuro. She listened to everything in the courtyard. Not only did she not get close to Su Hao, but she also helped Su Yuro and her brother to harm him several times. Xu Yang wanted to pry open Su Yingxue's brain and see what color paste was inside. At this moment, even if Su Yingxue said that she was here to see Su Hao, Xu Yang did not believe it. He rolled his eyes. Our eldest young master can't accept your kindness. Who knows what kind of poison you're bringing to him again? Su Yingxue clenched her fists and said in a low voice, I won't harm my brother. If he's hurt in the slightest, you can do whatever you want to me. The determination in her eyes was shocking. Xu Yang was greatly shocked. Su Yingxue was usually arrogant and despotic. What kind of underhanded trick was she playing now? Just as he was thinking about what to do, a weak voice came from the room. Xu Yang, let her in. Brother, this warm and mellow voice made Su Yingxue's eyes tear up. She pushed open the door impatiently. The room was filled with the smell of medicine and the smell of blood. Su Hao must have been injured badly and lost a lot of blood. Su Yingxue quickly ran to the bed. Su Hao struggled to sit up, but when he saw Su Yingxue, he forced a smile. Sister, you're here. Brother, Su Yingxue approached with tears in her eyes. The moment she held Su Hao's hand, she felt that her rebirth was so real. Her gaze swept past his handsome eyebrows, his beautiful eyes, and the love in his eyes. It was as if strands of intertwined light enveloped her. Su Yingxue took out the ointment, and her eyes were filled with apology. Brother, you're so seriously injured, yet you still gave me the blood-clotting grass. This is a ointment I made with the blood-clotting grass. Take it and use it. Your injuries will heal faster. But what about your injuries? Su Hao frowned, and a trace of worry appeared on his handsome face. If I didn't hear it so late, I definitely wouldn't have let father hit you again. This blood-clotting grass is very good at healing external injuries. Sister, you can go back and heal yourself. I'm fine. Su Hao's heart ached and he was sad. His blood surged and he immediately coughed heavily. Brother, you're seriously injured and you still say it's fine? I'm not hurt. Besides, I've already applied medicine. Look. Su Yingxue rolled up her sleeves. The bruise on her fair and slender arm had already mostly dissipated. The effect of the blood-clotting grass was extremely good. Su Hao held her arm, but anger surged in his heart. Father can't tell right from wrong. He's too much. Chapter 4. Her brother believes her big brother. Don't be angry. Hurry up and apply the medicine. Su Yingxue was afraid of provoking him again, so she hurriedly urged him. Su Hao looked at the medicine in her hand and then looked at her eyes, but he was a little hesitant. Xu Yang instantly snatched the medicine from Su Hao's hand and glared at Su Yingxue with a vigilant face. Eldest young master, don't use it. There might be some kind of poison in this medicine. What if your wound festers and you become disabled? Xu Yang shut up. Su Hao scolded him with a cold face. Young master, I didn't say anything wrong. Haven't you been harmed by this sister for the past few years? If it wasn't for her, would you have been so seriously injured? You're quite generous. The blood-clotting grass that His Highness bestowed upon you, you casually gave it to her. I wonder what your heartless sister has mixed in to harm you. I didn't. Su Yingxue applied the ointment on her arm before turning to look at Su Hao. Brother, don't worry. If I drug you again, I will die a horrible death. Don't say that. I'll use it. Su Hao asked her to wait outside the screen and applied the medicine with Xu Yang's help. When Su Yingxue went in again, Xu Yang's eyes were about to pop out. Every hair on his body was screaming with dissatisfaction at her. Su Yingxue pretended that she did not see it and did not take it to heart. She placed 2 bottles of new medicine by Su Hao's bed. Brother, you're a young general, so you have to keep these medicines on hand. If there's not enough, send someone to let me know. I'll make sure that you recover well. Of course, I hope that you will never be injured. Her lively eyes overflowed with light, and Su Hao's heart was exceptionally warm. Most of the time, he was not deceived by Su Yingxue, nor was he unable to see through her intentions. But as long as he saw her happy, he was willing to do anything even if he had to break his bones and skin. He couldn't keep his sister safe all the time, so he just wanted to do his best to make her happy. Su Yingxue no longer disturbed Su Hao's recuperation. Seeing that he had applied the medicine and went back, Xu Yang kept rolling his eyes behind her. Pretending to be kind, but you're a jinx. Su Yingxue turned around to look at him. Her eyes were sharp like an unsheathed sword. Xu Yang instantly held his breath. However, it was only for a moment before Su Yingxue's eyes regained their calmness. She bowed slightly. In the past, I was rash and caused my brother to be injured. It's understandable that your attitude towards me was bad, but I, Su Yingxue, swear that I will protect my brother well from now on and not let him be hurt in the slightest. Xu Yang's eyes widened. What? Did he hear wrongly? Su Yingxue said that she wanted to protect the eldest young master. Was she crazy? He quickly ran back and asked Su Hao to see if he was hearing things. However, Su Hao leaned against the bed and frowned. There is definitely more than one blood-clotting grass in these 2 bottles of medicine. There are also other precious medicinal herbs. His expression was solemn. Although Su Yingxue had some medical talent, the money in her hands was usually taken away by Su Yuro or used to buy gifts to make her father happy. She could not buy too many blood-clotting herbs, much less afford these medicinal herbs. How did she get this medicine? Su Yingxue had just returned to her courtyard when Su Dingheng kidnapped Jilan and forced her to hand over the 1,000-year-old ginseng. Su Yingxue, I'm really disappointed in you. Yuro treated you so well, even though you caused her to have a high fever, she still pleaded for you. You actually went to the pharmacy and secretly took the 1,000-year-old ginseng away. Are you trying to kill her on purpose? Su Dingheng pointed at Su Yingxue and scolded her as if the person in front of him was not his biological daughter but his enemy. Su Yingxue's expression was calm, and her tone was unperturbed. The 1,000-year-old ginseng was bestowed to grandfather by the emperor. Father, are you going to give the 1,000-year-old ginseng to Su Yuro? What's wrong? Do you want to monopolize it? Yuro is my daughter, your biological sister, and also the Marquise bloodline. Could it be that she can't use it? Hurry up and hand over the ginseng. As if he was afraid that Su Yingxue would swallow the ginseng for herself, Su Dingheng sent people to search Su Yingxue's room the moment he arrived, but they did not find anything. Su Dingheng's gaze fell on her. Su Yingxue looked at Su Dingheng with a mocking gaze. This was her father whom she had respected for many years. She had lost her mother when she was young and valued her parents' love more than anything else. She yearned for Su Dingheng to love her and protect her. When she saw that he doted on Su Yuro, she desperately treated her well, hoping that he would give her some pitiful fatherly love for Su Yuro's sake. But how did he treat her? First, he betrayed his relationship with her mother, then he colluded with Su Yuro to kill her grandfather, and then he charged her brother with treason, pushing them all to hell. Then, he would sit in the Marquise manor and embrace his women and children as he please. Brother and I have used the ginseng. Father, go find another one. Su Yingxue's lips curled into a mocking smile. As expected, she looked at Su Dingheng, who flew into a rage. What did you say? You guys. What do you mean by you two used the ginseng? What's going to happen to Yuro? What a joke. Why can't brother and I use it? We are the legitimate children of the Marquise manor. Who is she, Su Yuro? How could a nameless illegitimate child be worthy of the ginseng bestowed by the emperor? Su Yingxue's tone was domineering, and her aura was sharp like a knife. Su Dingheng's gaze was vicious. He actually did not know how to retort Su Yingxue's word. Because the old man didn't allow it, he still couldn't marry Shulan. Even Yuro and her brother didn't have a status in the Marquise manor. But in the past, Su Yingxue had always obeyed everything he said. If he wanted anything, she would give it to him even if she had to risk her life. Now, she actually used the ginseng and was so unyielding. Suspicion rose in his heart, But when he remembered that Yuro was still lying in bed, he softened his tone. Father knows that you're not convinced today, but you harmed Yuro first, how can I not punish you? Even if you're angry, you should be done. Hurry up and take out the ginseng. How can you and your brother finish it? If I say I'm done eating, then I'm done eating. Su Yingxue did not care about Su Dingheng's coaxing. She pulled Jilan into the room and closed the door. Su Dingheng threw a tantrum in the courtyard, then turned around and rushed out of the manor to look for the ginseng. Su Yingxue heard that Su Dingheng had gone to all the big medical centers outside and only found 100-year-old little ginseng. When Jilan heard this, she was so angry that her little face puffed up. She felt indignant for Su Yingxue. The Marquis is too biased. He didn't care about Miss, but he was so worried about Miss Yuro. Those who didn't know would think that Miss Yuro was the legitimate daughter of the Marquis Manor. Hasn't Su Yuro always boasted that she was the daughter of the Marquis Manor and that her manners and upbringing were better than mine? The corners of Su Yingxue's mouth curled up in a mocking arc as she tied the wristband closer. Miss, it's so late. Are you still going out? Are you going to get that bottle of medicine for me? Since it was snatched away, then let it be. I don't want it anymore. Miss, I don't want you to get hurt. Jilan quickly stopped Su Yingxue, thinking that it was all her fault for talking too much. She had told Su Yingxue during the day that when the Marquis came to search the room, he had taken away the bottle of medicine that Su Yingxue had given her. If Su Yingxue went to ask for it now, she would probably be at a disadvantage. Chapter 5. Father makes trouble, silly girl. It's better to make it again than to ask for it. Moreover, my brother also needs medicine. I have to go and pick some more medicine. Su Yingxue patted her head to comfort her, but she actually had other plans. She was nimble and would not be discovered even if she left the residence quietly. However, she deliberately left through the main door so that the gatekeeper could see her so that he could report to Su Dingheng and Su Yuro. She had taken out so many blood-clotting herbs from the Medicine King Valley for no reason, and it would certainly arouse suspicion. She had gone out this time to deliberately look like she was picking herbs for them to see. Su Yingxue deliberately slowed down her pace. After letting the people from the Marquis Manor catch up, she ran to the mountain outside the city. After turning around twice, she lost them. The two servants looked at each other. Where is she? Where did the eldest young miss go? I'm asking you. I told you to keep an eye on her, but you lost her. Let's see how you explain this to the Marquis when you go back. Su Yingxue saw the two of them leave, and the corners of her mouth curled up slightly. She was about to enter the Medicine King Valley when a gust of wind blew. Whoosh! With the sound of an arrow, Su Yingxue immediately turned around and dodged. A wild wolf fell behind her, and before it could howl twice, it died. Su Yingxue looked in the direction where the arrow came from and saw a tall man standing not far away. Su Yingxue asked in confusion, "You saved me?" Before the other party could say anything, Su Yingxue had already noticed the figure of another person. She had never been afraid of the dark or ghosts, but the appearance of this person made her feel a chill all over her body, and an invisible pressure approached her. The man's thin lips parted slightly, and his low and hoarse voice was magnetic. Su Yingxue. He called out her name accurately. Su Yingxue instantly began to think. Which big shot had she offended? In the past, when she was manipulated by Su Yuro, she had offended quite a number of reputable people. This also paved the way for her tragic death in her previous life. Su Yingxue sized him up with the help of the moonlight. Although she couldn't see his true appearance, his facial features were well-defined and exceptionally perfect. He must be a handsome man. In Jiangdu City, the most handsome man was the seventh prince, Chu Changye. He knew her. Could it be? Seventh prince. The man's anger was instantly aroused. His cold and deep voice was filled with bloodthirsty anger. Say that again. I won't say any more. Su Yingxue shrunk her neck. This man was too terrifying. She didn't want to provoke the seventh prince anymore. She turned around and wanted to run. However, the man had already grasped her movements and caught up to her easily. He even hugged her, and Su Yingxue felt as if something had been taken away by him. When she ran to the light, the man who had lost his temper for no reason was gone. The jade pendant on her belt had also disappeared. A rapist? Su Yingxue gritted her teeth. She better not bump into this person in the future. Otherwise, she would skin him alive. The 9th prince's mansion. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, Mochi would never have believed that His Royal Highness, who hadn't been close to a woman for 30 years, had personally stolen a lady's jade pendant. To put it nicely, it was smooth, but to put it bluntly, "Master, there are thousands of jade pendants in the prince's mansion, but you don't even care to take a look at them. Why do you only care about Su Yingxue's jade pendant?" Mochi really couldn't endure this doubt for the rest of the night. It was too shocking. Chu Chengye's purple robe fluttered even though there was no wind. His eyes were almost seductive as he held the jade pendant with his slender and well-defined hands. His voice was low and hoarse. "Because it belongs to Su Yingxue. She took the initiative to provoke me." Mochi was speechless. "Master, are you sure you didn't take the initiative to provoke her?" Marshal South Marquis Manor. 2 servants came to report to Su Dingheng that they had lost Su Yingxue. Su Dingheng scolded angrily, "2 pieces of trash. You can't even keep an eye on her. What's the use of keeping you around?" "Father." On the bed, Su Yura's voice was weak, and her delicate face was pale and fragile. "Sister might have gone to pick herbs for me. Daddy, don't blame her wrongly. When sister comes back, you should comfort her." "Are you crazy?" "My silly daughter, she ate all the 1,000-year-old ginseng, causing you to lie in bed and unable to recover, yet you still put in a good word for her." Su Dingheng looked at his daughter, whom he doted on like his dearest darling, and his heart was filled with thorns. Why didn't he kill Su Yingxue? If he had killed her earlier, would she still be alive to eat the ginseng? And she ate all of them without leaving any for Yuro? Just thinking about it was detestable. A hint of malice shone in Su Yura's eyes. Su Yingxue had always listened to her and occasionally lost her temper. She had always used her father's power to tame her, but now she had pushed her into the water 3 times and even taken away the most precious 1,000-year-old ginseng in the house. How despicable. She must make her spit it out and return it to her. She was the daughter that Su Dingheng held in his heart. In this Marquis manner, no one would say that she wasn't the honorable legitimate daughter. Su Yingxue was rude and was not worthy of being mentioned in the same breath as her father. "I don't believe that sister would be like this. Even if she really ate all the ginseng, I have no complaints." 2 drops of tears flowed out of Su Yura's long eyelashes, and her pinkish-white face became even more pitiful. The anger in Su Dingheng's heart grew even more intense. Now that the old master was fighting at the border, he had the power of the Marquis manor. If he couldn't even control Su Yingxue, then he would become a joke. When the old master returned, paid more attention to Su Yingxue, it would probably threaten the power in his hands. He definitely couldn't let such a thing happen. Su Yingxue returned to the residence with a body full of morning dew. She knew that Su Dingheng would not have anything good waiting for her, but she did not expect him to make such a big fuss. Everyone in the Marquis manor was standing outside the hall. Su Yuro dragged her sickly body along as well. However, her treatment was excellent. The chair was covered with a goose feather cushion, and she was draped in a pure white fox fur coat. Even the golden hairpin in her hair was inlaid with rubies. This kind of lineup made her seem like the mistress of this Marquis manor. Su Dingheng was worried about her health and did not dare to speak too loudly. "Why are you standing at the door? Unfilial daughter, get in here and kneel." "Unfilial daughter." Su Yingxue curled her lips and stood straight in front of Su Dingheng with an indifferent expression. "Father, what's the matter?" Su Yingxue, as the first daughter of the Marquis manor, not only did you not love your sisters and unite the family, you even stole the ginseng and blood-clotting grass from the pharmacy. Su Dingheng clutched his chest. It really looked like he was having a heart attack. He casually threw a booklet and half a bottle of medicine in front of Su Yingxue. Everyone in the Marquis manor knows that there are many medicinal herbs in the Marquis manor's pharmacy that are military supplies. Anyone who takes them must register them in the books. If you use them as you wish, it's no different from stealing. Where do you place the Marquis manor and the soldiers who are loyal to the Marquis manor? Su Dingheng publicly reprimanded her. The people who despised Su Yingxue in the Marquise mansion hated her even more. She's the eldest young miss, yet she stole her own family's herbs. Marquis, you must punish her severely this time. That's right. Look at Miss Euro, this is the demeanor of a legitimate daughter. Chapter 6. She has grown up. When Su Euro heard this discussion, the corners of her lips curled up in satisfaction. This was exactly what she wanted. Su Yingxue was not worthy of being the first daughter. Su Yingxue picked up the medicine bottle and looked at the booklet. She then glanced at Jilan, who was tied to the side, and knew that Su Dingheng was using the medicine to make things difficult for her. She sneered disdainfully. Father, do you know what stealing is? She was proud and unyielding, and Su Dingheng was furious. You took the herbs without permission and didn't record them. It's theft. Moreover, you stole ginseng and blood-clotting grass. They are very precious. Firstly, I didn't steal the blood-clotting grass. Secondly, the ginseng didn't come from the Marquise Manor's pharmacy. It was given to me by my grandfather. It's not recorded in this booklet at all. It's only stored in the pharmacy. On what grounds did you reprimand me when I took my own things? Su Yingxue took out a few stalks of blood-clotting grass from her bosom. Father, you've found the medicine Jilan used. There is indeed blood-clotting grass inside, but I personally went up the mountain to pick it. Blood-clotting grass grows at the edge of the cliff and is very difficult to pick, so it is precious. I risked my life to pick the medicine, but you mistake it as theft. I refuse to accept this. Her resounding and forceful words of dissatisfaction were like an alarm bell ringing in everyone's hearts. Su Dingheng's forehead gradually broke out in cold sweat. Ling Xiao Garden. Su Hao used Su Yingxue's medicine and recovered a lot in a day. He tried to get out of bed and walk around. There was no one in the courtyard except for Xu Yang, who came over with medicine. When he saw that Su Hao could walk again, he was pleasantly surprised. Young master, you recovered so quickly. Su Hao was also very gratified. My sister's medicine is excellent. I want to see her today. Su Hao had doubts in his heart all along. He was worried that Su Yingxue's medicine was not easy to obtain. If she caused trouble, he could help her deal with it earlier if he knew it earlier. Xu Yang stopped him and avoided his gaze. Young master, you should rest more. Don't get involved in that mess. What do you mean? What happened to my sister? Su Hao pressed hard on Xu Yang's arm, looking nervous. Where is she? In the hall. The old master is teaching her a lesson. She stole the medicinal ingredients in the pharmacy. Xu Yang sighed in his heart. He only thought that Su Yingxue was stupid. So what if she gave Su Hao medicine? She still caused trouble again. I'll go see her. Su Hao rushed out with his sickly body. Xu Yang quickly caught up with him. Young master, slow down. Your internal and external injuries haven't recovered yet. Don't bother about her. It couldn't be helped that she's stupid. Hey, young master. Su Hao was extremely nervous. He thought that Su Yingxue would be punished by Su Dingheng again, either beaten or scolded. However, when he arrived, Su Yingxue's slender figure was standing upright in the hall. Her voice was clear enough for everyone present to hear her clearly. The Marquise Manor is indeed strict. I am the Marquise Manor's first daughter, so I have to set an example for the manor. That's why I never use precious herbs in the pharmacy. Even if I was beaten and scolded by father until I was covered in injuries, I would still risk my life to pick herbs to treat my injuries. However, father, as the Marquis of Marshall South, you are the head of the family without grandfather. You actually wanted to give the 1,000-year-old ginseng to your mistress' children, and the blood-clotting grass was stolen because of your lack of security. The scar on Su Yingxue's snow-white arm was especially obvious, and every word she said was flawless. Su Dingheng's face turned ashen, and the knuckles of his clenched fists turned white. It was as if he had been slapped in public, and he could only act tough. What's wrong with me feeling sorry for Euro? She's your biological sister. You're the eldest sister, yet you're so stingy with your younger sister. Su Yingxue did not refute immediately, giving Su Dingheng a chance to catch his breath. He thought that this reason would be able to pressure Su Yingxue a little. However, Su Yingxue raised her eyebrows and sneered. Her eyes were emitting a cold, killing intent. Father, it's not wrong for you to feel sorry for your children, but you forgot that your legitimate children are only me and my brother. As for your other children, they don't even deserve a title. So, how can she be my sister, and why should I give her the ginseng? Su Yingxue's words were like a sharp blade that stabbed into Su Yuris' body, turning her into a bloody mess. This was where she hurt the most. She had been tormented by the birth of a concubine since she was young. She had endured it for many years. She had learned the 4 arts, music, calligraphy, and etiquette. She was better than Su Yingxue in every aspect. However, she was still inferior to Su Yingxue's identity as the daughter of the first wife. In order not to embarrass Su Dingheng, she immediately took off her fox fur coat and golden hairpin. She wore a plain white dress and slowly bowed in front of Su Yingxue. Her voice was soft and weak. Sister is right, I'm indeed not worthy. It is my fault for sister and father to make a big fuss over a daughter of a concubine like me. After she finished speaking, she got up and slammed into the pillar. Fortunately, there were servant maids to stop her. She only had a small scratch on her forehead. However, Su Dingheng's heart ached terribly. He supported her and scolded Su Yingxue angrily. Look at what you've done. You dare to bully your sister in front of me? Hurry up and use the blood-clotting grass to treat her injuries. Su Dingheng ordered his men to take the blood-clotting grass from her. Su Yingxue glared at him. Who dares? Her eyes were sharp, and her entire body exuded a noble and inviolable aura, instantly making people not dare to approach her. She glanced at Su Yuro indifferently. Father, if you want to give her the blood-clotting grass, you can just take it from the pharmacy. However, according to the rules of our Marquise Manor, if you take precious herbs, you have to pay the same price. Moreover, you've said that since I didn't steal the blood-clotting grass, it means that you didn't manage it well. You must remember to make up for the stolen blood-clotting grass. Otherwise, if grandfather finds out about this, he will definitely blame you for not managing the family properly and could not even look after a few stalks of blood-clotting grass. When Su Dingheng heard this, he almost vomited blood. The price of the blood-clotting grass outside was at least 3,000 taels of silver for 1 stalk. Previously, the one he had taken to frame Su Yingxue was already given to Su Yuro and her brother. Now, to make up for it and continue giving it to Su Yuro, he would have to spend more than 10,000 taels of silver. This wretched girl was deliberately making him spend money in vain. Wait, don't you have some with you? Can't you give it to your sister? Su Dingheng called out to Su Yingxue in pain. Su Yingxue had just pulled the injured Jilan. Without her, Jilan became the target of bullying. She handed the blood-clotting grass to Jilan and said coldly, "The blood-clotting grass I picked is very useful, so I can't give much. Sister, I only want one. If you can give some to me, I will be extremely grateful." Su Yuro wiped her tears. She naturally felt sorry for her father's money. Her father's money belonged to her, her mother, and her younger brother. It was their loss to waste money. Moreover, Su Yingxue had picked so many of them, so how could she not be envious of these good medicinal herbs? Su Yingxue sighed. The ones that I picked are not even enough for Jilan. How could I have extra for you? After saying that, she left with Jilan. In the courtyard, everyone in the Marquise Manor who had been summoned by Su Dingheng heard the meaning behind Su Yingxue's words. In her eyes, Su Yuro, the second young miss, was not even as good as her servant girl. Su Yuris' blood was stuck in her throat, and she almost suffocated to death. "Young master," Shu Yang called out, "aren't you going to stand up for Su Yingxue?" Why was he standing there? Chapter 7. The vicious Su Yuro Su Hao came back to his senses, and his eyes dimmed. She doesn't need it anymore. He originally wanted to go to her courtyard to see her, but she said that she needed to treat her injuries with the servant girl. It was probably inconvenient for him to go over now, so he returned to his own courtyard. However, Shu Yang felt that it was a pity. "Young master, you risk your injuries to protect her, but Su Yingxue doesn't even care about you. She really doesn't know what's good for her." Su Yingxue had never been likable since she was young. If it wasn't for his young master protecting and spoiling her, her life would have been miserable. Xu Yang. Su Hao's voice was cold and carried the might of a soldier. Xu Yang immediately stood up straight in front of him. Young master, what can I do for you? She is my younger sister, the noble eldest young miss of the Marquise Manor. You shouldn't call her by her full name, Su Hao reprimanded in a deep voice. Xu Yang was stunned. He was doing this for his young master. Go and receive your punishment. 30 strokes of the rod. Yes. Xu Yang disliked Su Yingxue, but he never disobeyed any of Su Hao's orders. Su Hao walked back to the courtyard alone. His injuries were not light, and he did not walk fast. However, this dark sky made him feel ashamed. If he had more time to accompany his younger sister and could appear in time whenever she needed it, she would not have been bullied to the point of being weak and temperamental. She would not have been like now, forcing herself to be strong to deal with everything in the Marquise Manor. The stronger she was, the more guilty he felt. In Su Yingxu's courtyard, Jilan was holding the blood-clotting grass that she had picked back. Her eyes were teary, and her tears were about to fall. Young miss, it's all because of me that you were scolded by the Marquis. I really should die. Su Yingxue grabbed Jilan's collar and pulled her up. Blaming yourself like this won't do me any good. Jilan, if you want to be my servant, you have to put away your temper and think about how to protect yourself and me. Su Yingxue could not help but sigh in her heart. Jilan's personality was inherited from her. She was weak and timid in the past. If others said something bad about her, she could think about it for 3 days. She compromised, but others only treated her as a fool and stepped on her more and more. If she wanted to establish the demeanor of a legitimate daughter, she had to be strong. A person's strength came from the inside out. One had to have a strong heart and even stronger abilities. She had been reborn, and many of her fragile hearts had been crushed and trampled into pieces in her previous life. In this life, she wanted to build an indestructible heart for herself, so that she would be strong enough to protect herself and the people she owed in her previous life. As for her powerful abilities, since she had the Medicine King Valley, she had to make good use of it. The Marquise Manor was controlled by her father, and she was restricted in every aspect. The first thing she had to do was to earn enough money. Only with money in hand could she compete with her father and Su Yuro. Su Yingxue and Jilan rummaged through her room together. As expected, there was nothing valuable left, making her feel quite vexed. Jilan quietly sized up Su Yingxue and asked carefully, Miss, if you have money, you won't use it to please the Marquis and Miss Euro, right? The things that happened in the past 2 days made Jilan very gratified. Su Yingxue had changed too much. However, she was still worried that Su Yingxue would be deceived by Su Euro in just a moment. Su Yingxue reached out and flicked her forehead. What did I teach you just now? I don't even have any silver to use now, so how can I give it to others? What if you have it? Then I will only think about how to earn more silver. Jilan puffed up her face and ran to find a wooden box before running back. Su Yingxue took out a contract from the box. Mother left this medical center for me. Jilan nodded with red eyes. This is the last shop that Madam left behind. Madam instructed that you can't take it out unless your life is in danger. A trace of surprise flashed across Su Yingxue's eyes. In her previous life, she and Jilan had died unexpectedly, so she still had an inheritance. Sunset Court. In order to treat the injury on Su Yuro's head, Su Dingheng had no choice but to take out the blood-clotting grass from the pharmacy. However, Su Yingxue pointed out in public that he had to pay back money to the pharmacy. Otherwise, he would be committing theft. This was the trap he had originally set for Su Yingxue, but Su Yingxue had grabbed the rope and strangled him. In order to shut up the Marquise Manor, he had forcefully given the pharmacy 10,000 taels. He wished he could break Su Yingxue's bones and tendons. Daddy, it's all my fault. I caused you to waste so much money. If Mother knew, she would blame me for not sympathizing with you. Su Yuro knelt on the bed and apologized to Su Dingheng. Her eyes were filled with tears and she looked pitiful. Su Dingheng's heart softened immediately. He quickly helped her lie down. My dear daughter, this is clearly Su Yingxue's fault. She refused to give you the blood-clotting grass and insisted that I spend a few thousand taels of silver. I will find a chance to teach her a lesson. What made Su Dingheng angry was that Su Yingxue, who had always been at his mercy, had become a different person. Not only was she unable to be controlled, but she had even turned around and strangled him. This made him feel a great sense of danger and fear. He could not let Su Yingxue continue to grow like this. "Daddy, I originally had a poetry recital to attend tomorrow, but now that my face is injured, it's not convenient for me to go. Please send someone to apologize to the seventh prince and say that I've let down his good intentions." Su Yuris' reminder made Su Dingheng remember that Su Yingxue admired the seventh prince and even asked the old man to ask for a marriage agreement with the emperor. The emperor had already promised, but he had yet to issue an imperial edict. He could not control Su Yingxue, but if he used the seventh prince to oppress her, she would definitely not dare to go against him. He quickly patted Su Yuris' shoulder and comforted her. "Good daughter, leave this matter to me. Rest well. I won't let Su Yingxue hurt you again." Su Yuro nodded timidly, but a hint of viciousness flashed across her eyes. The next day, Su Yingxue was prepared to go and take a look at her inheritance. There were quite a lot of medicinal herbs in Medicine King Valley. If she had a medical center in her hands, she would have a lot of money in her pocket when she started running it. At that time, she would be able to take back the power of the Marquise Manor from Su Dingheng's hands step by step, and eliminate those who threatened her and her brother's safety one by one. However, before she could leave the manor, 2 fierce guards stopped her. "His Highness wants to see you." "His Highness?" Su Yingxue raised her eyebrows. These 2 people were dressed like soldiers of the royal family. The Marquise Manor did not participate in the fight for the throne and did not have close ties with any prince. However, the direction they brought her to was Su Yuris' Sunset Court. In the courtyard, Chu Changye was dressed in a moon-white robe. The collar and sleeves of his robe were embroidered with a soaring dragon cloud pattern that symbolized his status. He was like a gentleman, making people think of him crazily. Su Yingxue's heart skipped a beat when she saw him. That's right. In her previous life, Chu Changye was her favorite. Even though Chu Changye had never been nice to her, her eyes were still filled with him. A young girl's yearning was so brainless and unreasonable. Chapter 8. The 9th Imperial Uncle has arrived. However, Chu Changye looked at her with disdain and disgust. Su Yingxue curled her lips mockingly. "May I know why your Highness summoned me?" A hint of surprise flashed across Chu Chengye's amber eyes. Everyone in Jiangdu City knew that Su Yingxue admired him. She had always been humble in front of him, afraid of angering him. She did not even dare to look up at him. Now, she was holding her head high and puffed out her chest, looking down on him. This made him very unhappy. His tone was filled with disdain. "Su Yingxue, I haven't seen you for a few days, but you've grown up. You disobeyed your father at home and bullied your sister. Do you still have any respect for the laws of the country?" Su Yingxue burst out laughing. "Your Highness, you must be joking. Of course, I take the laws of the country to heart. As for the family rules, speaking of which, did you come to the wrong door?" The mockery in Su Yingxue's eyes reminded Chu Changye that this was the Marquise Manor, not his manor. He had come here to teach her family rules. A joke of the year was born. "Su Yingxue," Chu Changye growled coldly in a low voice, "are you looking down on me? Yuro is my good friend and I respect the Marquis of Marshall South greatly. But now, you treat them like this. I will not let you off." "Oh." Su Yingxue raised her eyebrows. She wanted to know why His Highness wouldn't let her go. "Kneel down immediately and apologize to the Marquis and Yuro, and I'll spare you. I'll save you faces in the future, or else, don't blame me for being ruthless." Chu Changye spoke with conviction and righteousness. If she had not died once, she would have listened to every word Chu Changye said and done it, but what was he talking about now? In her previous life, he had been in cahoots with Su Yuro, coaxing her so much that she had to go around in circles. Before she died, he had slept with Su Yuro right in front of her. In this life, why should she listen to him? "I won't do what your Highness has said. Furthermore, I still have matters to attend to, so I won't accompany your Highness." Su Yingxue's face was cold. It was a waste of time to stay in front of Chu Changye any longer. Her time after her rebirth was very precious. There was no need to waste it on trash. Su Yingxue, stop right there. Chu Chengye was furious. He was used to being pursued by Su Yingxue, but he had never been treated coldly by her. He threatened her, if you don't apologize to Euro today, don't even think about leaving this place. His guards stood in front of Su Yingxue, one on the left and one on the back. Su Yingxue's lips curled up coldly. Did he have her father's permission and still wanted to teach her a lesson in her house? Your Highness, don't. Su Euro was dressed in a green dress as she ran out of the room. Her body was like a willow, and after taking 2 steps, she fell towards Chu Chengye. Chu Chengye quickly helped her up, his eyes filled with heartache. Euro, why did you come out when you're sick? Go back to your room and lie down. Your Highness, it's all my fault. If you punish my sister today, I will blame myself. Your Highness, please don't blame her. 2 lines of tears flowed down Su Euro's delicate face, and the cinnabar dot between her eyebrows looked light and charming. Chu Chengye hugged her delicate body and was especially moved. However, he hated Su Yingxue even more in his heart. Su Yingxue, look at how good Euro is to you. She's so sick, yet she's still pleading for mercy for you. You pushed her into the water and even snatched her ginseng. How despicable. Quickly apologize to Euro. As Chu Chengye spoke, he was about to order the 2 guards to attack Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue's expression was cold, and her eyes were filled with indifference. Attack. Make her kneel in front of Euro and apologize to her. Chu Chengye ordered his subordinates angrily. The 2 guards immediately attacked Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue did not have much strength, but when she was grabbed and resisted, her arm exploded with shocking strength, throwing one person 10 meters away. She punched the other person in the chest, causing him to vomit blood. Chu Chengye and Su Euro were stunned. Su Yingxue was also puzzled. In her previous life, she did not seriously learn martial arts. Her grandfather forced her, but she only managed to practice some mediocre martial arts. It was impossible for her to defeat the royal guards, but now, fight. Beat these 2 bastards up. The voice of a 3-year-old appeared in her mind. Su Yingxue's eyebrows moved slightly. Little Ginseng, it's you? I'm already a few thousand years old, you're the little one. If they bully you, they're bullying me. Beat them up. Don't feel bad. Little Ginseng threw a tantrum in a childish voice. Its voice was crisp and cute. Su Yingxue smiled. All right. The little Ginseng was giving her face, she definitely couldn't disappoint it. After the 2 guards got up, they attacked her again. She swept her leg and put the 2 of them down. She gave them a few punches and kicks respectively. The entire Sunset Court was filled with their screams. Su Yingxue, how dare you? How dare you touch the people around me? Chu Chengye's face turned green. He had never been so embarrassed before. He shouted at the fallen guard, useless. You couldn't even handle her. Your Highness, please spare me. The 2 guards laid on the ground and cried. Su Yingxue was too terrifying. She was even stronger than the 2 of them. Sister, you must not hurt His Highness. Otherwise, if the Emperor blames us, our Marquise Manor will suffer. Su Euro leaned weakly against Chu Chengye, her heart clenched in anger. She had provoked her on purpose. If she dared to touch Chu Chengye, she would be punished by the Emperor. She's not the one who's going to suffer. A cold and deep voice drifted in. Before they even saw the person, this voice was like a mountain pressing on their hearts. Chu Chengye held his breath as he looked at the person who had just arrived. 9th Imperial Uncle? Why are you here? What kind of wind blew in the Marquise Manor to blow this big Buddha over? Su Euro's entire body trembled. She couldn't believe that she had actually met the most respected 9th prince of the great Cheng dynasty. Chu Yihan was dressed in a purple-gold python robe, and his entire body was emitting a cold aura. The sun was clearly shining brightly, but the moment he entered, the courtyard seemed to have entered a winter chill. Su Yingxue frowned in confusion. What was this person doing here? Rumor had it that the 9th imperial uncle, Chu Yihan, was a man of great power. He was cold and bloodthirsty, and unpredictable. Everyone in the court was afraid of him as if he was the king of hell. Chu Chengye had also become a quail in front of him. And he. Su Yingshu's eyes widened. Wasn't that shining jade pendant hanging from this person's waist hers? Fuck. The man from that night was him? Su Yingxue gritted her teeth. Chu Yihan ignored Su Yingshu's gaze as she stared at him. He walked in front of Chu Changye and smiled. Who gave you the guts to behave atrociously in old General Su's residence? Chu Changye immediately lowered his head, feeling indignant. Imperial uncle, I didn't behave atrociously. It's Su Yingxue who has gone too far. She bullied Yuro and even disobeyed her father. She's really detestable. Is that so? Chu Yihan's tone rose. There was a smile on his lips, but his body was emitting a bone-chilling chill. Chu Chengye's heart was beating faster under the pressure of his aura, and he felt as if his entire body had been frozen. Chapter 9. Chu Yihan's illness is pretty serious. Your Highness has graced me with your presence, and I did not go and greet you. Please pardon me. When Su Dingheng heard that Chu Yihan had arrived, he hurried over. No one knew of Chu Yihan's temperament. Even the emperor was afraid of him. No one in the entire Great Cheng dynasty would provoke him. He did not know why he had come to the Marquise Manor today. Su Dingheng did not even think and wanted to pin this matter on Su Yingxue. Unfilial daughter, you must have made His Highness unhappy. Hurry up and kneel down and apologize to His Highness. Su Yingshu's gaze turned colder. I didn't provoke His Highness. There's no need to apologize. The 9th Prince Chu Yihan stole her jade pendant. He even dared to wear it in front of her. How detestable. Don't provoke him. He has a lot of the aura of my ginseng descendants. The little ginseng wailed. Chu Yihan's entire body smelled of ginseng, and the spiritual energy in his body was so abundant that it made people jealous. If he had not taken the jade pendant, Su Yingxue would not have wanted to provoke him at all. If you hadn't angered the 9th Prince, why would the 9th Prince come to the Marquise Manor? Kneel down and apologize. Su Dingheng's face was livid. He had made up his mind to push Chu Yihan's blame onto Su Yingxue. Su Yuro was secretly delighted. Su Yingxue did not care about Chu Chengye's attitude today, but if she offended Chu Yihan, she would definitely die a horrible death. Chu Changye didn't know why Chu Yihan had come, but he didn't want to offend this imperial uncle. I was rude just now, but if imperial uncle is offended by Su Yingxue, I will definitely teach Su Yingxue a lesson for you. After saying that, he glanced at Su Yingxue disdainfully. Su Yingxue secretly raised her eyebrows. This group of people really wanted to frame her, but what was this 9th imperial uncle's reaction? Under the sunlight, the man's slender figure was plated with a layer of golden light, as if a god had descended into the world. His disdainful gaze carried an innate nobility, and his voice was cold and deep. I was entrusted by old General Su to visit his granddaughter today. Behind him, Mo Chi was holding a pile of tonics. The packaging of the rosewood box revealed how expensive the items inside were. Su Dingheng heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, he was not here to cause trouble. However, his father only cared about Su Yingxue. Could it be that Chu Yihan was here to see her? Su Dingheng's heart trembled. Your Highness, are you going to give these things to my eldest daughter, Yingxue? Su Yure's heart also tensed up. Why was the good thing given to Su Yingxue again? Chu Yihan replied lazily, no. Su Yingxue was speechless. Her mind was filled with question marks. How could Grandpa ask him to take care of Su Yuro? Could it be that he was also a subordinate of Su Yuro? Was he this tasteless? Su Yingxue looked at Chu Yihan coldly. However, Su Yuro was exceptionally happy. She thought to herself, that old fart has finally taken her seriously for once. With Chu Yihan visiting her, her status among the young ladies of Jiangdu City has risen to a higher level. She quickly bowed to thank Chu Yihan. Your Highness, I'm extremely grateful for your hospitality. Thank you. She hurriedly called for Yuan Ruo, the servant girl behind her, quickly receive His Highness things carefully. Yuan Ruo walked towards Mo Chi, but before he could get close, Chu Yihan's cold voice rang out, when did I say that it was for you? His voice was so intimidating that Su Yuris' body trembled involuntarily, and her mind was filled with confusion. Her father only had 2 daughters, Su Yingxue and her. If it wasn't for Su Yingxue, then why wasn't it for her? Chu Changye saw the weakness in Su Yuris' eyes and felt pity for her. Imperial uncle, if it's not for Su Yingxue, why isn't it for Yuro? Yuro is dignified and proper, 100 times better than Su Yingxue. Old General Su would definitely dote on her more. Su Dingheng was also confused. He did not know what Chu Yihan was doing. Everyone's hearts were on edge because of Chu Yihan. He then looked at Su Dingheng and said, "My gift is for the Marquis' only first daughter. The Marquis only has 1 legally wed wife, and those children all have the status due to the legitimate wife. As for those who don't have a title, they aren't worthy of being old General Su's granddaughter." Fat. Ha ha ha. Little Ginseng rolled around laughing. How mean. Su Yingxue nodded. He was indeed quite mean. Su Yuris' small face was burning red. Chu Yihan's things were not for her, and he even called her a bastard and unworthy of being grandfather's granddaughter. She almost cried. Chu Changye wanted to speak up for her, but when he met Chu Yihan's eyes, he was shocked by the bloodlust in his eyes. Mo Chi handed the things to Su Yingxue. "Miss Su, this is the best ginseng, red ginseng, purple ginseng. If you still lack them, you can just inform the prince's mansion." Mo Chi intentionally glanced at Su Dingheng and Su Dingheng lowered his head guiltily. His face was burning red. This was clearly mocking him for snatching Su Yingxue's ginseng previously. Su Yingxue took the things and said indifferently, "Thank you, Your Highness." Everyone was in awe of Chu Yihan, but she looked at him coldly. Chu Yihan raised his eyebrows slightly, a hint of interest in his eyes. Su Dingheng sent Chu Yihan, the great Buddha, away. Chu Changye also left with a dark expression. Su Yuro felt humiliated and started crying in the house. Su Yingxue threw the things back into the courtyard and climbed into Chu Yihan's carriage. Chu Yihan was resting in the carriage with his eyes closed. Su Yingxue jumped into the carriage and reached for his waist. She was as fast as lightning. Hiss, Su Yingxue frowned in pain. "Your Highness, return the jade pendant to me. This jade pendant is mine." "Why should I return it to you?" Chu Yihan opened his eyes lazily with a hint of flirtatiousness in his eyes. The corners of his mouth curled up slightly, completely different from the dignified and solemn look he had in the Marquis' manner. It was as if he was deliberately seducing. Su Yingxue gritted her teeth. She really wanted to blurt out that she had never seen such a shameless person. She pointed at the jade pendant on Chu Yihan's waist. "This jade pendant was left behind by my mother. My name is engraved on it. Your Highness took it from me. Please return it to me." Chu Yihan held the jade pendant in his hand. There was indeed the word Shuer on it, but this did not stop him from saying, "The jade pendant is mine." Since explaining did not work, Su Yingxue could only snatch it. However, even if she had the strength and was fast enough, she was still nothing in front of Chu Yihan. Chu Yihan clasped her hands behind her back and pulled her into his embrace. Su Yingxue crashed into his chest. It was hard. The back of Su Yingxue's head hurt from the impact. The closer she got, the more she could smell the man's light fragrance. The little ginseng could also smell the old wounds on Chu Yihan's body. Su Yingxue sneered. "Your Highness, old injuries are serious. You need to make a medicinal soup with cork tree bark, amber, and pangolin." Chu Yihan raised his eyebrows slightly. "You know medicine?" Su Yingxue's eyes were filled with disdain. "Your Highness doesn't believe me." "I believe you." Chu Yihan's smile revealed a hint of evil. Su Yingxue's heart suddenly skipped a beat. She jumped out of the carriage with a cold expression. "You're sick." If he dared to believe anything she said, then she could not be blamed for being unkind. Who asked him to snatch her jade pendant? Chapter 10. Tongchang Medical Center. Su Yingxue could not figure out Chu Yihan's intentions for taking her jade pendant, so she could only give up. If a girl's jade pendant fell into the hands of a male stranger, her reputation would be ruined if she was not careful. However, that person was Chu Yihan, the man that all the women in the Great Cheng dynasty wanted to marry. Su Yingxue was not afraid that he would ruin her innocence. She treated it as a time bomb that she could solve in the future. Now, she had to rush to the medical center to investigate. The medical center was located at the end of Rongjing Street. A bronze plaque read Tongchang Medical Center. The door was old and simple. There were 2 old doctors in the inner hall, and a young clerk was yawning on the table in front of the medicine cabinet. Su Yingxue walked in and saw that this place was really dilapidated. It was different from the shop that her mother had left for her, and she thought that this medical center did not have much income. She coughed lightly. The 2 old doctors looked up at her. One of them said, "You're not sick. There's no need to see a doctor. I'm indeed not here to see a doctor. May I know who's the boss?" Su Yingxue said calmly. The young man on the medicine cabinet counter replied lazily, "The boss isn't here." Su Yingxue showed the contract to the clerk and asked him, "When will the boss be back?" The clerk immediately restrained his lazy aura and brought Su Yingxue to the back hall. Su Yingxue dusted the simple and unadorned tea table and realized that the wood was old. She waited for the time it took to brew a cup of tea before a middle-aged man in a dark green robe entered. He cupped his hands respectfully at Su Yingxue. "I didn't know that Miss had arrived. It's my fault for neglecting you." Su Yingxue looked at him with her glass-like eyes, which were filled with doubt. The man quickly said, "My surname is Qi, and I've been managing the medical center. I'm the manager here. Manager Qi, I will take over the medical center for my mother. From now on, I will be the owner of this place." Su Yingxue weighed the teacup lid. Her tone was calm, but it revealed a domineering aura. Manager Qi chuckled. "Miss, it's great that you're willing to take over the medical center, but our center's income is meager. I'm afraid it won't be able to satisfy your needs. I hope you won't be angry." Manager Qi had managed the medical center for many years and naturally knew that Su Yingxue was the first daughter of the Marquise Manor. She came to the medical center probably because she wanted money, but they did not earn much, so he had to make this clear. Aside from making money, the medical center also needs to earn a reputation. It's not difficult to run it slowly, but I want all of you to run it according to my method. I'll bear all the profits and losses. Su Yingxue was very domineering. "Miss, it's good that you're confident." Manager Qi smiled on the surface, but he did not believe Su Yingxue's words in his heart. Su Yingxue was timid and cowardly. Her reputation as an idiot had spread throughout Jiangdu City. Did she even know medicine? How well could she manage the medical center? She might even lose the land and shop in the end. Su Yingxue nodded and left. The clerk behind Manager Qi said disdainfully, "Isn't she that idiot eldest young miss? She even dared to take over the medical center. TSK. Let her be. After all, the old master is gone, and there's nothing left in this medical center." Manager Qi sighed. 20 years ago, the Tongchang Medical Center opened all over the Great Cheng dynasty, and it was very famous. Now that it had declined to this extent, no one had revived it. It was also the end of its days. Manager Qi. Su Yingxue's sudden return gave Manager Qi and the clerk a fright. Manager Qi remembered that Su Yingxue did not ask them for money just now, so he hurriedly took out the remaining dozens of taels of silver on the counter. "Miss, this is all the silver in the shop. You can take them all." Su Yingxue looked at the few silver ingots in his hands and shook her head. She placed a few medicines on the counter. "You have a weak spleen and internal deficiency. Your legs have suffered from rheumatism for many years. This medicine can help you recuperate. Take it." She left after saying that. Manager Qi stared at her back in a daze. He opened the medicine and took a sniff. He turned around and asked the clerk in shock, "Did I hear wrong? She was right about my illness just now. You even prescribed me medicine?" "No. But she didn't even take your pulse, so how did she know? Her medical skills are too godly." The clerk was also stunned. Manager Qi inexplicably recalled his old master. In Su Yingxue's mind, the little ginseng started to run around again. "He despises you so much, yet you still treat him." Su Yingxue didn't think so. "It's fine if it's someone else. Since I need him to take care of the medical center for me, I need to let him know my ability. Oh, humans are so troublesome. Why don't you just tell him that you know medicine and have such a large amount of medicinal herbs from the Medicine King Valley? Little Ginseng's crisp voice was filled with disdain. A person's talent will arouse the envy of others. Before one becomes strong, one shouldn't expose too much. Su Yingshu's state of mind became much calmer. She had learned too many lessons in her previous life, so she had to plan for the long term. As soon as she returned to the courtyard, she was still thinking about how to manage the medical center. There was a group of people standing in the courtyard. When they saw her, they all bowed respectfully and called out in unison, "Greetings, eldest young miss." Su Yingxue frowned. Jilan ran out and whispered into her ear, "Miss, these are all sent by the Marquis. They said that they are adding servants to our courtyard." Su Yingxue looked around. There were 3 maids, 3 old women, and 4 manservants standing in the courtyard. They looked neat and tidy, but she was not familiar with any of their faces. They were all Su Dingheng's men. On the surface, her father had sent someone to let her use it, but in reality, it was to monitor her, right? Su Yingxue reprimanded coldly, "All of you, leave. I don't need it." She walked into the house, and the dozen or so people knelt down in the courtyard in unison. The young maidservant Yuan Xiong, who was the leader, said, "When the Marquis sent us here, he instructed that if young Miss refused to accept us, it would mean that you disliked us for not knowing how to serve you. Please punish us." Su Yingxue ignored them and let them kneel. Entering the house, Jilan bit her lip. "Miss, this is not the way to go on. What if news spreads and it ruins your reputation? Does my reputation need to be ruined?" Su Yingxue did not care at all. She only thought, however, it's not impossible for these people to stay. Let's see what tricks their master wants to play with me. After 2 hours, tell them to stand up, and I agree to let them stay. However, they must be loyal to their master and are not allowed to enter my bedroom. Jilan felt that this was a good idea, so she did as Su Yingxue said. She made this group of people kneel for 2 hours. 2 hours later, Yuan Xiong and the others were called up. Jilan gave them a simple lecture and let them go to their respective jobs. Their knees were swollen and painful, so they could only barely finish their work and return to bed. In Sunset Court, Su Yuro didn't receive any news. Yuan Ruo said, "Su Yingxue is really ruthless. She made them kneel for 2 hours before they went back to work. They were all so tired that they didn't even have the strength to come and see you, miss. We couldn't find anything today." Chapter 11. Su Yingxu's counterattack. Su Yuro drank the medicine for typhoid fever, and her fair little face twisted with viciousness. "Su Yingxue, she can't win against me. Tell Yuan Xiong that she must find the tonic that His Highness gave her. Su Yingxue is not worthy of such a good thing." Yuan Ruo agreed and immediately sent the message. Su Yingxue woke up early in the morning and heard the rustling in the courtyard. The people who came in yesterday were very diligent and had started sweeping early in the morning. Jilan made breakfast for her and brought it over with a face full of resentment. "Yuan Xiong is too outrageous. She wants to touch everything and go everywhere. She even wants to enter our storeroom." Su Yingxue smiled faintly as she drank the porridge. "Our storeroom is empty. If she wants to go, let her be. But there are 3 pieces of top-quality ginseng that the 9th prince gave you." Jilan was very vigilant. This was the only treasure Su Yingxue had. She had to look after it for Su Yingxue and not let anyone else get it. "Give the key to the storeroom to Yuan Xiong and let her take good care of the storeroom," Su Yingxue instructed. "Miss, Yuan Xiong has ill intentions. How can you give her the key?" Jilan was extremely nervous. Her true master sent her here for a reason. If you don't give her a chance, how can she reveal her true intentions? Su Yingxue was expressionless, but her beautiful face made people feel that she was scheming and ingenious. Jilan immediately did as she was told, but she remembered what Su Yingxue had taught her. When she found Yuan Xiong, she deliberately put on a straight face and looked unwilling. "Here, Miss trusts you and told you to look after the storeroom. If anything is missing or lost, Miss will definitely not forgive you." Yuan Xiong's eyes flashed with pride. "Got it, Sister Jilan. I'll take good care of the storeroom." After obtaining the key, She immediately informed Sunset Court. Su Yuro asked her to bring all the ginseng and replace it with something else to stuff it back into the box. Looking at the 3 glossy ginseng on the table, a satisfied smile appeared on Su Yuro's face. So what if His Highness gave it to her? Didn't it still fall into my hands? Yuan Ruo immediately flattered, yes, that idiot eldest young miss doesn't deserve such an expensive thing, and even if she finds out that something is missing, she wouldn't dare to come and cause trouble for you. You are the Marquis's favorite. Yuan Xiong was also sent to her by the Marquis. If she vented her anger on Yuan Xiong, she would be going against the Marquis, and she could only suffer in silence. Su Yuro's jade-like fingers caressed the ginseng and nodded in satisfaction. If it wasn't for that old fart's preference for her, His Highness would have given me these things. She had been much more outstanding than Su Yingxue since she was young. Everything about Su Yingxue should belong to her. In the evening, Jilan quietly told Su Yingxue that she had followed Yuan Xiong and saw that she had secretly stolen ginseng and gave it all to Su Yuro. Su Yingxue clapped her hands. All right, then let's go and send the ginseng to father. Jilan immediately carried the 3 boxes and followed Su Yingxue to the front hall with a smile. Su Dingheng and Su Yuro had just finished dinner when Su Yingxue sent someone to deliver something to the entire family. Su Dingheng was very surprised and specially waited for her in the hall. When Su Yingxue and Jilan arrived, they saw that Su Hao was also there. He was wearing a tight black cloud pattern shirt and his long hair was tied up high. His brows were filled with heroic spirit and his presence was overbearing. The cold light in his eyes turned warm after seeing Su Yingxue. Little sister. Su Hao called her softly. Su Yingxue walked to Su Hao's side and took his pulse. His internal injuries were almost healed. Looking at his expression, his external injuries were probably about to recover. Su Yingxue was especially gratified. Yingxue, what do you want by mobilizing so many people? Su Dingheng stroked his beard with displeasure in his eyes. Su Hao had been raised by the old master since he was young, and he had learned 100% of his decisiveness from the old master. In his heart, he only had Su Yingxue as his sister and had no affection for his father. He came in and called him father with a straight face, not saying a word to him. Instead, he doted on Su Yingxue so much that he did not care about his father at all. Therefore, he could not stand the intimacy between the siblings. Su Yingxue put on an obedient look. I'm naturally here to give good things to father and brother. Sister is really thoughtful. Su Yuro said in a delicate voice. Su Hao pinched Su Yingxue's wrist. Why don't you keep your good stuff for yourself? Su Hao knew that all of Su Yingxue's good things had been plundered clean. She had never used any good things herself. Now that he saw her take out another good item, his heart ached even more. Brother, sit down. Su Yingxue's eyes curved into a smile, revealing a reassuring expression. Su Yuro originally thought that her good stuff was just those 3 ginseng. She had taken all of them, so what else could she have that could be considered good? However, when Su Yingxue took out the box containing the ginseng, her expression changed drastically. Su Yingxue gave 3 boxes of ginseng to Su Dingheng, Su Hao, and Su Yuro. She said generously, these are the ginseng, red ginseng, and purple ginseng that the 9th prince gave me yesterday. The 9th prince is so noble, so these gifts should be considered good, right? I'll give it to father, big brother, and Yuro. Su Dingheng's eyes lit up. Of course, this is great. Initially, he only had his eyes on the old master's ginseng. However, Chu Yihan's status was much higher than the old master's, so the things he used were 100 times more precious than those in the Marquis manor. He opened the box impatiently and widened his eyes. What's going on? Su Hao also opened the box after him, but when he looked at the things inside, his handsome eyebrows furrowed deeply. Su Yuro's hands that were holding the box were trembling as she glared at Su Yingxue. This bitch. Su Yingxue was at a loss. Father, what's wrong? Aren't the things gifted by the 9th prince good? What is this thing? This is definitely not a gift from His Highness. Su Dingheng threw an ordinary herb on the ground and pointed at Su Yingxue angrily. You used this to fool your father. Father, I didn't lie to you. I originally wanted to give everyone ginseng out of good intentions, But who knew? His Highness must have gifted it wrongly. Why don't I go to His Highness Manor to ask him now? Su Yingshu's beautiful little face was filled with innocence. She was so angry that she wanted to rush out. Su Hao stopped her. Sister, it must be the work of the Marquise Manor's people. Su Hao protected her and placed the box next to Su Dingheng. Father, the gift from His Highness would definitely not be given wrongly. If my sister did not have the intention to gift it, she would not be so sincere. From what I can see, someone in her residence must have tampered with it and replaced the ginseng. Since the thing was placed in her courtyard, it should be someone from her courtyard who did it. Su Dingheng slammed the table angrily. The audacity! How dare anyone steal something that His Highness has gifted? Someone! Bring all the servants in the eldest young Miss courtyard here. Su Yura's heart trembled. Father, it would be a fuss to investigate the case like this. Why don't we go back to Sister's courtyard and investigate properly? Chapter 12. Su Yuro was exposed for stealing ginseng on the surface. She was doing this for Su Yingshu's sake, but she was actually panicking inside. All the ginseng was with her. If they found out. Servants having sticky fingers cannot be underestimated. They should be interrogated in public so that everyone in the Marquise Manor can learn from it. Su Hao lowered his voice. He waved his hand and ordered, Shu Yang, go and bring everyone from my younger sister's courtyard here. Not a single person can be left out. Shu Yang immediately cupped his hands. Yes, young master. Su Yingxue was furious. Damn it, I finally had something to give to father, but it was actually stolen by someone. Her words made Su Dingheng angry and annoyed, and he even felt that he owed her. As a father, he didn't dote on Su Yingxue much. Instead, he took many good things from her. Now that she received top-quality ginseng, she even wanted to gift it to him. However, when he thought about the theft of the top-quality ginseng, he gritted his teeth even more. These people are so bold. If I find out who stole it, I'll skin them alive. Su Yura's body trembled when she heard that. She wanted to leave quietly, but Su Yingxue shouted, Yuro, where are you going? Don't worry. Father will definitely help me find the ginseng. Su Yuro had no choice but to retreat after being noticed. A trace of resentment flashed across her eyes, but she replied obediently, yes, father is wise and mighty. We will definitely find the ginseng. Shu Yang quickly brought Yuan Xiong over. Yuan Xiong was thrown into the hall, shivering. Shu Yang said, reporting to the Marquis and young master. I have found out that this servant girl is in charge of managing the storeroom in the eldest young Miss courtyard. The ginseng theft should be related to her. Su Dingheng's heart was suddenly filled with rage. Bastard! You even dared to steal the ginseng bestowed by His Highness. You must be tired of living. Tell me, where did you hide the ginseng? Yuan Xiong's eyes were filled with fear as she hurriedly shook her head. Marquis, please spare me. I didn't steal the ginseng. I didn't steal the ginseng. Yuan Xiong, you better tell the truth. Otherwise, father will definitely not forgive you. Su Yingxue slapped Yuan Xiong hard. I didn't. Yuan Xiong refused to admit it. Then why is there such a strong ginseng smell on your body? Su Hao had a keen sense of smell and immediately noticed it. Su Dingheng also approached Yuan Xiong and smelled the ginseng on her body. He was furious. Speak, where did you hide the ginseng? Yuan Xiong desperately sniffed the ginseng smell on her body. She was very puzzled. She had clearly changed her clothes and carefully cleaned them. There was clearly no ginseng smell anymore. How could it be? She immediately turned around to look at Su Yingxue. She had touched her just now. Su Yingxue had an innocent look on her face. She had only sprinkled some ginseng powder on her when she patted her. Yuan Xiong felt hatred in her heart. Su Dingheng cared about the ginseng. Seeing that Yuan Xiong did not speak, he immediately ordered his men to punish her. Yuan Xiong was beaten until she cried bitterly. Marquis, spare me. Marquis, spare me. Tell me, where is the ginseng? Yuan Xiong bit her lip, feeling extremely wronged. Although she had taken the ginseng, she had already given it to Su Yuro. However, She couldn't tell the truth in front of everyone. Otherwise, Su Yuro would definitely not let her off. She looked at Su Yuro for help. Su Yuro glared at her viciously, but said in a gentle voice, Yuan Xiong, this ginseng is so precious. If you secretly stole it and sold it, say it immediately. On account of the many years you have been in the Marquise Manor, I can still plead with Daddy to let him deal with you lightly. Otherwise, if Daddy is furious and beats you to death. Su Yuro clutched her chest, unable to continue speaking. Yuan Xiong was trembling in fear. Su Yuro was warning her that if she dared to betray her, she would beat her to death. She trembled as she knelt down. She could only admit, Master, please spare me. I stole the ginseng and sold it. Someone. Beat this traitor to death. Su Dingheng was so angry that his face turned red. Father, wait a moment. The things that His Highness has given are extremely precious. Even if she sells them, she can't get rid of them for the time being. We are still able to investigate it now. Why don't we have brother go and check it out? Su Yingxue suggested. Su Dingheng nodded. Investigate. We must find the ginseng. His heart ached just thinking about it. Those were 3 stalks of top-grade ginseng. Su Hao ordered Xu Yang, investigate immediately. Xu Yang had followed Su Hao for many years and was swift and decisive in handling matters, and he quickly found out. Marquis, Yuan Xiong did not sell the ginseng. The ginseng should still be in the residence. The corners of Su Yingxu's mouth curled up. Father, it looks like this servant girl has made up her mind to fool you. The ginseng should still be in the Marquise Manor. Su Dingheng slammed the table in anger. You wretched girl, how dare you deceive me? Beat her to death for me. Yuan Xiong was beaten until her skin and flesh split open. She kept crying and begging for mercy. Marquis, please spare me. Marquis, please spare my life. Where's the ginseng? Su Dingheng was so angry that he stepped forward and kicked her. The ginseng is. Yuan Xiong looked at Su Yuro with a timid gaze. She really couldn't take such a beating. Su Yingxue reminded her, if you don't say, you'll only die. Su Yuro nervously twisted her handkerchief and looked at Su Dingheng with a weak gaze. Father, it's late. Why don't we lock Yuan Xiong up first and interrogate her again tomorrow? Father, it's inappropriate. This is an inside job. There must be an accomplice in the residence. Interrogate them as soon as possible so that we can find the ginseng as soon as possible, Su Hao said in a deep voice. Su Yuro's fair face was filled with pain. Big brother, are you suspecting that I'm Yuan Xiong's accomplice? Su Hao's face was cold, and he didn't look at her. I just want to find the ginseng as soon as possible. Su Dingheng's heart ached as he patted Su Yuro to comfort her. Rua, you're thinking too much. Hao didn't mean it that way. This ginseng isn't an ordinary item. We must find it as soon as possible. That's right. If His Highness knew that we had accidentally lost the things he gave us, he would definitely blame us. Su Yingxue sighed. At the mention of Chu Yihan, Su Dingheng's heart tensed up. Men, continue beating this wretched girl until she is willing to talk. A series of crackling sounds of whips rang out as Yuan Xiong cried out miserably. In the end, she could not take it anymore and shouted, "It's the second young miss. She asked me to steal the ginseng. The ginseng is with her." Everyone in the hall looked at Su Yuro in unison. Su Yuro's heart skipped a beat, and tears immediately flowed out of the corners of her eyes. Daddy, I'm innocent. Why would I take my sister's ginseng? Su Dingheng did not believe it either. What nonsense are you spouting? Why would Yuro let you do such a thing? Yuan Xiong, think carefully before you speak. If you malign Yuro, I'll kill you for her. Su Yingxu's words were filled with a strong threat. The more ruthlessly she spoke, the more Yuan Xiong felt that she had to tell the truth to have a chance of survival. She desperately crawled to Su Dingheng's feet. Marquis, it's the second young miss. It really was the second young miss. The ginseng is still in her courtyard. If you don't believe me, you can search. Second young miss definitely hadn't had the time to deal with it. Su Yuro wished she could kill Yuan Xiong. This bitch. Father, there is no time to lose. Let's search the courtyard and well know. Su Hao would never allow Su Yingxu's things to be stolen. Chapter 13, Tragic Ending. Father, if searching the courtyard can prove my innocence, I am willing. It's just that searching my courtyard in the middle of the night, and if word gets out, my reputation, Su Yuro cried weakly. Su Dingheng had some misgivings in his heart. If word of the courtyard search got out, it would affect Su Yuro's reputation. Father, this servant girl must be lying. I already said that I would give it to Yuro, so why would she send someone to steal it? Besides, wasn't she slandering her for ambushing people in my yard to spy on me? This is too unfair to Yuro. In my opinion, it's better to inform His Highness and ask him to help with the search, Su Yingxue defended Su Yuro. The moment she mentioned Chu Yihan, Su Dingheng panicked. We must not alert His Highness about this. Let's search the courtyard. Men, go to Sunset Court. He brought his men and rushed to Sunset Court. He even patted Su Yuro's hand and comforted her. Rua, don't worry. Father will definitely prove your innocence. Su Yuro nodded her head in gratitude, but she was extremely anxious in her heart. She glared at Su Yingxue fiercely. Su Yingxue had an innocent look on her face as if she did not know what she had done wrong. Su Hao walked beside Su Yingxue and accompanied her. Don't worry, I will definitely find the ginseng. Okay, thank you, brother. Su Yingxue's heart felt warm. Su Yuro thought to herself that she definitely couldn't let them search the courtyard. Thus, before she reached the courtyard's entrance, she pretended to faint. Rua, what's wrong? Su Dingheng's heart ached as he supported her. Seeing that she had fainted, Su Dingheng immediately called for a doctor to treat her. Su Yingxue walked forward. Father, let me take a look. You. Su Dingheng was surprised. What do you know? When he saw Su Yingxue take out 3 silver needles to stab Su Yuro, he immediately stopped her. Stop. Don't hurt Rua. Father, I have a rough understanding of medicine. I just need a few needles and Yuro will wake up. Su Yingxue's expression was indifferent. This. Why didn't I know that you knew medicine? Su Dingheng trembled with worry. Father, it was all thanks to my younger sister's medicine that my injuries healed so quickly. Su Dingheng was slightly relieved when he heard Su Hao say that. Su Yingxue secretly curled her lips and stabbed Su Yuro's philtrum, Higu, and Tianzong acupoints. Su Yuro was pretending to faint, but when she stabbed these 3 major acupoints, she immediately jumped up and screamed, "Ah, it hurts." Her loud voice startled Su Dingheng. Rua, father, Yuro is fine. Su Yingxue patted Su Yuro. Su Yuro gritted her teeth and glared at her. She had stabbed her on purpose. And she was in so much pain. Su Yingxue had an indifferent expression as she kept the needles as if she did not care about anything. She and Su Yuro stood at the side. Su Yuro was so anxious that she was sweating profusely. She saw that Su Hao's men had found 3 ginseng and was about to faint again. However, Su Yingxue smiled faintly. Don't be afraid. With my medical skills, I won't let you not wake up. Su Yuro's eyes were red. She recalled the intense pain from being stabbed by the needles and instantly felt fear. Su Dingheng looked at the ginseng he found in disbelief. This. Rua, what's going on? Did you really order Yuan Xiong to do it? Father, I didn't. Even if I had the guts, I wouldn't do that. Su Yuro knelt on the floor with a thud, blood seeping out of her knees. Su Dingheng did not believe it either. He glared at Yuan Xiong. How dare you steal the eldest young Miss Ginseng and slander the second young Miss? Yuan Xiong was covered in blood as she struggled weakly. Marquis, I'm not lying. It really is the second young Miss. She looked at Su Yuro resentfully. She was clearly working for her, but Su Yuro watched her get beaten badly. She was too cruel. Father, if you don't believe me, Rua will be at your disposal. Even if you want to chase me out of the Marquise Manor, I won't dare to say anything. Su Yuro's delicate tears flowed down like a lotus flower that had been ravaged by the wind and rain. Su Dingheng had always felt sorry for her. How could he bear to blame her at this moment? However, today's matter had involved a large number of people. His favoritism would inevitably cause people to gossip, so he could only find someone to die for Su Yuro. He waved his hand and ordered, "Men, Yuan Xiong stole the ginseng and framed the second young miss, drag her away and beat her to death. Yuan Xiong fell heavily to the ground. She knew that Su Dingheng was biased, so she desperately crawled towards Su Yingxue and hugged her as she begged, "Eldest young miss, please save my life. I won't do it again, I won't do it again." Su Yingxue brushed her away with a cold gaze. "If you knew this would happen, why did you do it in the first place? You chose your own dead end." Su Yingxue's words enlightened Yuan Xiong. If she had been a servant girl in Su Yingxue's courtyard, why would her life be in danger? She was working for Su Yuro, but she was using her to pay for her life. Yuan Xiong's eyes were filled with despair as she was beaten to death in public. In order to regain the impression of standing in Su Dingheng's heart, Su Yuro cried, "Daddy, although Yuan Xiong slandered me, the ginseng was found in my courtyard. I have a responsibility. Daddy, please punish me severely." Su Dingheng pursed his lips tightly. "You can't be blamed for this. It's all that wretched girl Yuan Xiong's fault." Afraid that Su Yingxue would take it out on her, Su Dingheng even specially instructed Su Yingxue, "Yingxue, your sister was wrongly accused in this matter. Yuan Xiong was the one who stole the ginseng. You are not allowed to vent your anger on her." Su Yingxue sneered in her heart. It was such an obvious result, yet she was still the one who had wronged Su Yuro. Forget it. Her father had never been able to distinguish right from wrong, so she did not expect him to punish Su Yuro. She said, "Of course, I won't blame my younger sister," but she was shocked and fainted today. "I'm afraid she needs to recuperate well." "Father, why don't you let her recuperate in the courtyard for a month and not go out? This way, tonight's incident won't spread and damage her reputation." Su Dingheng stroked his beard and nodded. "That's good too." He turned around and instructed Su Yuro, "Rua, stay in the courtyard for the next month. Don't come out and walk around." "Yes, I will remember Daddy and Sister's words." She agreed on the surface, but in her heart, she wanted to tear Su Yingxue into pieces. She was locked up for a month just like that. Her gaze fell on the 3 ginsengs. Her heart ached because Su Yingxue was going to take them back. She originally wanted to ask for one. However, Su Yingxue rushed to say, "Father, although the ginseng has been found, it's hard to guard against thieves in the Marquise manor. To prevent it from being lost again, it's better to let brother keep it first." "Well, I'll keep it. Who would dare to touch my things?" Su Dingheng immediately stopped him. He coveted this ginseng very much, so how could he bear to let someone else take it away? Older brother is strict in managing the army. The servants in the courtyard are also from the army. They will definitely not embezzle. His Highness will definitely be at ease if he knows that the ginseng is with older brother. However, if His Highness knows about tonight's matter, Su Yingxue's small face was filled with worry. Su Dingheng could already imagine Chu Yihan's furious expression. He trembled and waved his hand in frustration. "Forget it. Let Hao keep it." After the ruckus tonight, he didn't get anything out of it and returned to his room in anger. Chapter 14. Subduing people's hearts with money. After Su Hao took the ginseng away, he sent Su Yingxue back to her room. The moonlight was faint, making Su Hao's eyes look gentle as they reflected a layer of silver light on them. "Sister, don't worry. The ginseng is with me. You can come and get it any time. I will look after it for you and won't let anyone have the chance to take it away." Su Yingxue's tone was calm. "I originally wanted to give these ginsengs to you. You can keep them for your own use. It's so expensive, you don't mind? It's just a few pieces of ginseng. It's nothing compared to my brother's love for me." A trace of guilt flashed across Su Yingxue's eyes. In her previous life, Su Hao's tragic death appeared in her mind. She had no intention of involving him in this matter tonight, but after her rebirth, she cherished every moment she spent with Su Hao. Su Hao had never seen such deep guilt on a person's face. It was as if she had done something sinful and was repenting and atoning for it. But when had his sister ever committed such a grave sin? Su Hao's hand gently landed on Su Yingxue's shoulder, and his tone was as gentle as the moonlight. "Sister, I will dote on you for the rest of your life. You don't have to be reserved with me. If you suffer any grievances, come and tell me. I will definitely avenge you. All right. Su Yingxue smiled. This was the first smile she had since her rebirth. Su Hao watched as she returned to the courtyard. Xu Yang stood beside him with disbelief in his eyes. Su Yingxue is really different from before. She has a brain now. Su Hao looked over with a serious gaze and Xu Yang immediately covered his mouth. Its eldest young miss. Su Hao's handsome face was full of heroic spirit. In this life, he would definitely protect his sister. After Su Yingxue returned, just as she had expected, the courtyard was filled with people kneeling. The few maids, old ladies, and manservants all looked at her with fear in their eyes, wanting to say something but hesitating. Seeing that she was going back to her room to rest, old Madame Zhong immediately said, "Please believe us, eldest young miss. We are all loyal to you." Su Yingxue curled her lips coldly. "I don't think so. Are you loyal, or are you afraid to continue being loyal to your master after seeing Yuan Xiong's corpse?" The expressions on the group of people's faces were as if they had been dyed red. They were shocked, ashamed, and afraid. Old Madame Zhong's legs went weak as she knelt and begged her, "Miss, no matter who sent us here in the past, we will definitely do our best for you in the future. Please give us a chance. Miss, don't let us end up like Yuan Xiong." Everyone was afraid of death. Yuan Xiong's death was like a knife hanging over their heads. Jilan moved a chair for Su Yingxue to sit down. Su Yingxue said with a cold face, "Did you see Yuan Xiong's corpse? Go and take a look. That will be the outcome of betraying and helping others secretly while serving me. I, Su Yingxue, can't tolerate this. Those who are willing to stay in my courtyard shall be loyal to me. Those who are unwilling can get lost now." Su Yingxue gave them a chance to consider. Two of the servants knew that Su Yingxue had a bad reputation. Now that they had the chance to leave, they immediately stood up and walked out of the courtyard. Old Madame Zhong and the others knelt and did not move. Su Yingxue asked Jilan, "How much is their monthly salary in the Marquise Manor?" Jilan said one by one, 2 little servant girls would get 1 tael every month, old madam is 2 taels every month, and the servant boy is 1 tael every month. Su Yingxue nodded. From today onwards, those who are loyal to their master will receive 5 taels of silver per month. Old Madame Zhong and the others' eyeballs almost popped out. F5 taels. This was money that many people could not earn in a year. The Marquise Manor had never had such a high salary. Those who stay behind to serve me, Su Yingxue, will be treated well. Those who still have evil thoughts, I will punish them severely, understand? Su Yingxue's cold face exuded an extremely strong aura. Old Madame Zhong and the others were extremely moved and convinced. They knelt down and kowtowed one after another. "Miss, we will definitely serve you well. Us servants too." Su Yingxue asked them to leave, and she turned around to return to her room. Jilan frowned and reminded her, "Miss, your monthly allowance isn't much. Where are you going to get the money to give them such a high monthly allowance?" Su Yingxue drank a cup of tea. It tasted dry, and she spat it out. "The old tea is almost finished, right?" "Yes, miss. There's almost no old tea left in the house. If you can't fulfill the 5 taels of silver you promised every month, it will be honored. Someone will come to find me tomorrow morning. Jilan, go to the door and wait tomorrow." "Who is it?" Jilan wanted to ask more clearly, but Su Yingxue fell asleep on the bed. Her confident look suddenly dispelled the doubts in Jilan's heart. The next morning, Jilan stood at the door and was still puzzled. Who would come to look for Su Yingxue? Giving her money? Manager Qi had come to the Marquise Manor early to ask for Su Yingxue. Jilan saw that he was dressed plainly and did not look like someone who would send money to Su Yingxue. She brought Manager Qi to Su Yingxue. As expected, the first thing Manager Qi said was, "Miss, since you're so capable, please save the medical center." "Miss, we don't have any more money to give to the medical center." Jilan was so anxious that she was about to cry. Manager Qi also looked troubled. Although money is very important in running a medical center, Miss medical skills will definitely make a difference. The medicine that you gave me, I used it for 2 days, and the pain in my legs lessened a lot. Manager Qi looked at Su Yingxue with shining eyes. Su Yingxue nodded. "Now that your legs are better, It'll be easier for you to work. Take this back to the medical center first. I'm sure you'll be able to sell it soon. Su Yingxue took out 2 blood-clotting grass and placed them on the table. Manager Qi had been managing the center for many years and was very familiar with herbs. When he smelled the smell of the blood-clotting grass, he was shocked. This blood-clotting grass has just been picked and is very fresh. It is especially effective when used as medicine. 1 pill can be sold for at least 3,500 taels. 2 blood-clotting grass were 7,000 taels. Jilan was surprised and delighted. Miss, this is great. Jilan politely sent Manager Qi away. Manager Qi managed the medical center and had some connections. In just a day, he had sold 2 stalks of blood-clotting grass. He took 7,000 taels of silver to give to Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue counted the banknotes. She kept 3,000 taels for herself and handed him 4,000 taels. Manager Qi waved his hand repeatedly. Miss, you should keep the money for yourself. You will definitely need money in the Marquise manor. Manager Qi came to Su Yingxue's courtyard twice and secretly sized the place up. Su Yingxue should be the most impoverished daughter in Jiangdu City. He felt sorry for her on behalf of his old master. This money is for the medical center. Firstly, give the 2 old doctors 1,000 taels of silver. Both of them have good medical skills and have suffered a lot with the medical center over the years. This money is to comfort them. Secondly, renovate and expand the medical center to a larger scale and recruit more people. Manager Qi nodded. I'll remember it. Miss, I'll definitely do as you say. It's only a matter of time before our medical center can be operated again. He looked at Su Yingxue, his eyes filled with hope. Chapter 15, Crisis at the Wangjiang Tower. Jilan sent Manager Qi out and bounced back happily. Miss, our medical center will definitely improve greatly. You'll have money in the future. Su Yingxue nodded. This is only the first step. The management of the medical center is far more than this. In addition to medicinal herbs, there were also many vegetables grown in the Medicine King Valley. She took out some veggies and radishes and let Jilan cook them, and they ate them for 2 days. The 2 of them clearly felt that their bodies became much stronger. She even asked Jilan to send some to Su Hao. When Jilan returned, Xu Yang was also there. He handed a card to Su Yingxue. Young miss, the Marshal General Assessment will be held in 5 days. Young master is inviting you to go and take a look. The examination of generals was a strict requirement for generals. The Great Cheng dynasty used martial arts to pacify the world. The ancestor emperor's martial arts skills were extraordinary. He recruited many people with high martial arts skills into the court as generals and trained them. They trained millions of mighty soldiers and were famous in the 9 provinces. However, becoming a general in the Great Cheng dynasty was not easy. Even if one had a prominent family background, they still had to pass a strict assessment to be competent. The assessment was held every year to remind the generals not to slack off at all times. If they regressed, they would immediately lose their official position and power. They would have to wait until the next year to have the opportunity to reassess. In the assessment of her previous life, Su Hao was implicated by her and forced himself to hold on in the martial arts competition. In the last competition, he was defeated by Su Jinxian and lost his position as a general. In this life, Su Yingxue's beautiful eyes were filled with determination. I'll definitely go and cheer for Big Brother personally. Xu Yang was stunned when he saw how easily she agreed. You'll definitely go. Don't tell me you're going to drag young master down. How can you say that? Miss is very caring towards eldest young master and did not even forget to send food to him. Jilan angrily stepped on Xu Yang's foot. Xu Yang groaned and glared at Jilan with a puffed-up face. Stupid girl, why would you learn something like that? She had learned to be so violent from Su Yingxue. The marks on his face had not healed yet. Jilan, send him out. Su Yingxue instructed lightly. Jilan directly chased Xu Yang out with a broom. Xu Yang fled in panic. He ran back to Ling Xiao Garden and shook his head repeatedly. We can't afford to offend them. He did not dare to provoke the eldest young miss anymore. The Ninth Prince's Mansion. Chu Jinling, who was dressed in luxurious clothes, hopped in front of Chu Yihan and winked slyly. Ninth Imperial Uncle, the Martial General Assessment will be held in 5 days. The most popular bets are the 2 grandsons of old General Su, Su Hao, and Su Jinxian. Who do you want to bet on? Chu Yihan's well-defined hand knocked on the table. Su Hao. Then I'll bet on Su Jinxian. Su Hao was injured a few days ago, so he couldn't recover so quickly. Moreover, he had a sister who poisoned him and is a burden, so he definitely couldn't win against Su Jinxian. Chu Jinling pinched the jade pichot on his waist, and he had a determined expression. A sister who is a burden? The corners of Chu Yihan's mouth curled up slightly. Not necessarily. Chu Jinling saw the smile on the corner of his mouth and trembled violently. Imperial Uncle, you can't be smiling, right? Oh my God. He felt a very terrifying aura. He was the unruly 8th prince, and even his father had not cared much about him since he was young. However, he was only afraid of one person, and that was his 9th imperial uncle, Chu Yihan. He was especially afraid of him laughing, because if he smiled, someone would definitely be in trouble, and it was the kind of bad luck. Chu Yihan was 10 years older than him, and he was just like someone else's child since he was young. He was the best in poetry, literature, riding, and archery in the Great Cheng dynasty. He was so good that he had no friends. And he had a very odd personality. When they were young, the princes were most afraid of the 9th imperial uncle, not the grand tutor or master. While they were slacking off, if someone shouted that the 9th imperial uncle was here, it would definitely make them tremble. Chu Yihan opened his eyes coldly and glanced at him. I can't laugh. He had the aura of the king of hell around him. Chu Jinling trembled and quickly took a few steps back. He nodded like a chick pecking at rice. Why, you can laugh. Imperial Uncle, you look great when you laugh. You look the best in all of the Great Cheng dynasty. You have good taste. Chu Yihan nodded in a good mood as he played with Su Yingshu's jade pendant. Not only Imperial Uncle, what did you mean by that just now? The old general's idiot granddaughter would only drag Su Hao down, right? Chu Jinling returned to Chu Yihan's side after a while. Chu Yihan didn't even look at Chu Jinling. I gave her 3 ginsengs a few days ago. Su Hao's injuries should have healed. As for the person saying that she's an idiot, I feel that he needs to be sent to the military camp to temper himself. Goodbye, Imperial Uncle. Chu Jinling escaped from the Imperial Mansion like a gust of wind. He ran back to his own residence and patted his chest. My God, going to the military camp is asking for my life. His mother, the imperial concubine, had spoiled him since he was young. His riding and archery skills were the worst. Going to the military camp was courting death. However, Imperial Uncle wanted his life just because he called Su Yingshu an idiot. He was too biased. There's a problem with Imperial Uncle. As the head of Jiangdu City's 8 trigrams, Chu Jinling instantly noted down the unusual behavior Chu Yihan had towards Su Yingshu. 5 days later, at the Wangjiang Tower, Su Yingshu got out of the carriage in a red dress embroidered with golden lotuses and went up the observation platform with a group of young ladies. Her seat was the first of the 3. Other than the princesses, her seat had the best view, allowing her to see all the scenery and the tournament stage. Many people looked at her with jealousy. Wu Ruofei, the daughter of the minister of the Ministry of Personnel, even mocked her. Relying on her family background, even an idiot can go to Wangjiang Tower these days. Su Yingshu sat in her seat and said indifferently, that's right. If you don't say anything, no one will know that you're an idiot who relies on your family background. Wu Ruofei blushed. I'm talking about you. Su Yingshu looked at her innocently. I'm talking about you too. Was there something wrong? Miss Wu, were you that eager to label yourself as an idiot? There was mocking laughter around her. Wu Ruofei stomped her feet in anger. Why, you just need your sister to discipline you. Where's Su Yuro? When I find her, I'll let her teach you a lesson. Su Yingshu laughed coldly, and her eyes were cold and sharp. So the upbringing of the minister's estate is that the daughter of a concubine teaches the daughter of a legitimate wife, and the younger sister teaches the older sister? No wonder Miss Wu is so stupid. Su Yingshu, You dare to call me stupid? What about Su Yuro? If she doesn't hit you, bang. Before Wu Ruofei could finish her sentence, Su Yingxue kicked her away. Su Yingxue bent down to wipe her shoes. She was as cold as an ice beauty. If you want to get beaten up, you don't have to call others. Just say the word. Wu Ruofei stood up with the help of 2 servant girls and threw a tantrum. Su Yingxue, how dare you kick me? I won't let you off. Su Yingxue originally wanted to say that it was up to her. A man's voice suddenly rang out. What are you going to do to not let her off? Wu Ruofei's body froze on the spot as if she had been stabbed by an icicle. The ladies beside her who were watching the commotion also fell silent. Chu Yihan appeared. His purple-gold robe fluttered even though there was no wind. His face, which had attracted countless women, exuded an arrogant and bloodthirsty aura. Chapter 16. She's prettier than you, Your Highness. Wu Ruofei was shocked. The seats on the Wangjiang Tower were separate for men and women. She did not expect Chu Yihan to come over and was instantly frightened. However, the ladies beside her reminded her, His Highness definitely won't help this idiot. Maybe he wants to see you teach her a lesson. Yeah, Ruofei, don't be afraid. Wu Ruofei was used to being pampered and had never been very smart. Hearing this, she suddenly became more confident. She lifted her skirt and pointed at Su Yingxue. I want her to compensate me for this dress and kneel down and kowtow to me. Your Highness, my mother ordered this for me at the Heavenly Fragrance Pavilion. It's extremely precious and there's only one of it in Jiangdu City. Su Yingxue kicked me just now. She should kowtow and apologize to me. Oh! Chu Yihan raised his eyebrows and looked at Su Yingxue. Are you going to pay and kneel? Su Yingxue rolled her eyes. No. Seeing Chu Yihan reprimand Su Yingxue, Wu Ruofei thought that he would back her up, so she quickly took advantage of the situation to suppress her. If you don't kneel, His Highness will definitely punish you. Su Yingxue's eyes narrowed slightly as her gaze fell on the jade pendant on Chu Yihan's waist. He was still wearing it. He had already changed his clothes. Why didn't he consider changing the jade pendant and returning it to her? Su Yingxue, kneel down and apologize. With Chu Yihan backing her up, Wu Ruofei was bossy. Su Yingxue looked at her indifferently and spat out 2 words coldly, dream on. Your Highness, you must punish her properly. Wu Ruofei didn't dare to approach after being beaten up by her, so she turned to Chu Yihan for help. Chu Yihan nodded. Indeed, we need to punish properly. Su Yingxue frowned slightly as she heard Chu Yihan say, if you startle my carriage and make me unhappy, I'll punish you to kneel and watch. Your Highness, my miss has no intention of offending you. Please forgive her. Jilan immediately knelt down and pleaded for Su Yingxue. She tugged at the corner of Su Yingxue's skirt. Miss, quickly apologize to His Highness. Offending Chu Yihan was a serious matter. If the Marquis were to find out, he would definitely severely punish the young miss. Su Yingxue's body moved slightly as she looked at Chu Yihan with disgust. Wu Ruofei was overjoyed. She put her hands on her hips and ordered Su Yingxue, you dare to disobey His Highness? You'll die. Hurry up and kneel. That's right, that's right. Su Yingxue, you offended Ruofei and deserve to be punished. Your Highness is really reasonable. This kind of idiot deserves to be punished. Chu Jinling had been waiting in the stands for a long time, but the direction of the plot was beyond his expectations. He touched his fair and handsome face. Didn't Imperial Uncle look at Su Yingxue differently? Why did he do this? Could it be that this old bachelor wanted to attract Su Yingxue's attention? Su Yingxue's mind was spinning rapidly as she thought about how to avoid this damned ninth prince. However, she felt that he had already walked behind her and his hot breath was caressing her ear. The man spoke in an extremely cold and deep voice. I'm talking about you. The cold light in his eyes was aimed at Wu Ruofei. Wu Ruofei's face turned pale. Your Highness. Didn't you want to punish Su Yingxue? The ladies beside her were also stunned. Why was Wu Ruofei the person getting punished? I always hated saying it twice. Chu Yihan scolded her in a low voice. Wu Ruofei was so frightened that she immediately knelt down in front of him. Plop! She happened to be kneeling in front of Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue raised her eyebrows. This change came really quickly. Hair. Chu Yihan's deep breath landed on the skin behind her neck, causing her to tremble. When Su Yingxue turned around again, he had already sat down. Coincidentally, his position was right above hers. Su Yingxue's face was slightly red. Chu Yihan's breath seemed to still be on her neck, but her heart was getting more and more complicated. What was this man trying to do? He had snatched her jade pendant and was deliberately teasing her today. And it was like this. Since her rebirth, this was the first time she couldn't understand someone clearly. Everyone took their seats, except for Wu Ruofei, who was still kneeling on the ground. She was pampered and had never even knelt before her parents at home. At this moment, it was fine if she knelt in front of Su Yingxue in humiliation, but she still had to kneel and watch the competition. She cried out in grievance, "Boo-hoo, why is your highness punishing me? Su Yingxue was clearly the one bullying me." A woman behind her kindly advised her, "Don't say any more. If you continue to anger his highness, you will implicate father. None of your business." Wu Ruofei had a bad temper and slapped her. Wu Jinyang lowered her head and stopped trying to persuade her. Chu Yihan, on the other hand, heard this and replied in public, "Because I don't like you." Didn't like her? This made Wu Ruofei even more indignant. Her delicate face was flushed red, and her face was full of tears. "Your Highness, why don't you like me? Then what about Su Yingxue? She's prettier than you." Chu Yihan supported his head with his hand as his gaze swept past Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue wrapped her arms and resisted the urge to look back at Chu Yihan. Was this man deliberately using her to humiliate Wu Ruofei? Wu Ruofei started crying like a child. From the beginning of the competition to the end, she knelt for 4 whole hours. In these 2 hours, Chu Jinling had been writing furiously and had already finished a wonderful chapter of the story. The last sentence he wrote was, "The woman wasn't moved, but the man had long yearned for her." He closed the book and sized Chu Yihan up. He felt that the writing was too realistic. His imperial uncle had taken a fancy to Su Yingxue. He brazenly said that she was pretty. Even if the young lady ignored him, he would still look at her from time to time. TSK. 25th match, Su Hao wins. The sound of the gong sounded in the arena. Su Hao's tall figure landed steadily on the stage. His long hair fluttered in the wind, and he looked heroic. "Wow, General Su is so handsome. General Su's martial arts are strong, he will definitely be promoted this time. Sob sob sob, I really want to marry him. Brother Su is the best." Su Yingxue was also happy for Su Hao. She stood on the observation platform and shouted, "Brother, you can do it." Su Hao turned around and smiled at her, causing countless women on the observation platform to scream crazily. "Ah." General Su smiled. "He's so handsome. Brother Su must be smiling at me. It must be. TSK, they are thinking too much. The eldest young master is smiling at Miss. How could it be smiling at them?" Jilan sneered. Su Yingxue curled her lips and smiled back at Su Hao. However, she noticed Su Hao's gaze was looking to the other side. Before she could see who he was looking at, he immediately focused on the competition. The 26th match, Su Hao vs Su Jinxian. Su Hao vs Su Jinxian. The competitor announced 3 times in a row with a loud voice. The time it took to brew a cup of tea passed. The opposite side of Su Hao was empty, and Su Jinxian was nowhere to be seen. Su Yingxue frowned slightly. She thought of the battle between Su Jinxian and Su Hao in her previous life. The outcome was that Su Hao was heavily injured and lost to Su Jinxian. Now that Su Hao had recovered from his injuries and won 10 consecutive battles, Su Jinxian probably did not dare to fight him anymore. Chapter 17. She isn't worthy of you according to the rules. Not going on stage meant admitting defeat. The examiner was about to announce Su Hao's victory, but Su Hao raised his hand to stop him. "I'm willing to wait for another incense stick of time. Even if it's admitting defeat, it has to be done face to face." Su Hao was a man of integrity and righteousness. He valued and respected the assessment greatly. If he wanted to win, he had to win fair and square. There was admiration in the eyes of the examiner, and he immediately sent someone to find Su Jinxian. Chu Jinling supported his head with both hands and sighed. Sigh, Su Jinxian is too gutless. Imperial uncle, I lost. To think that he had bet a lot of money on the gambling game. Chu Yihan's eyes were calm, and there wasn't a hint of joy in them. However, when Mo Chi returned to his side, he became spirited. How is it? Mo Chi recalled what he had seen and the corners of his mouth twitched. Miss Su kidnapped Su Jinxian. The corners of Chu Yihan's lips curled up, and his smiling eyes were seductive. Beautiful. As expected of her, Su Yingxue. What is it? Su Jinxian was kidnapped. Hey, Imperial uncle, she's cheating. I can't accept my defeat. Chu Jinling immediately wanted to save his bet. Miss Su kidnapped Su Jinxian when he was escaping. Mo Chi replied coldly. What? That guy is so gutless. He didn't even go on stage and even tried to escape. Chu Jinling covered his face in frustration. He regretted that he had bet on such a useless piece of trash. Raw. He had spent so much money. After a while, Su Yingxue returned to her seat. In the arena, someone jogged to the competitor and presented Su Jingxuan's letter of surrender. The examiner was extremely disdainful. He looked at Su Hao again, and his eyes were filled with admiration. Su Hao wins the last round. Cheers rang out in the Wangjiang Tower. Wu Ruofei, who had been kneeling for 4 hours, could not help but jump up. Brother Su is the best. Ah. Her legs went numb and she fell to the side. Wu Jinyang supported her, but she hit her twice. Go away. You cheap slave. Don't touch me. All right. Wu Jinyang retreated. There was no joy or anger on her delicate and pretty face. Initially, Su Yingxue had not noticed her, but when Su Hao walked onto the viewing platform, his gaze landed on her first. Su Yingxue couldn't help but be surprised. With a deliberate sense of alienation, Wu Jinyang retreated into the crowd so that Su Hao could not see her very quickly. Su Yingxue stood not far away, and he took the lead to walk in front of her. There was still a thin layer of sweat on Su Hao's forehead. Someone eagerly offered him a handkerchief and said shyly, General Su, wipe your sweat. Thank you. Su Hao replied politely but did not reach out to take it. He walked in front of Su Yingxue and asked her, Sister, did you bring a towel? Yes, big brother. It's been hard on you. Su Yingxue took out a towel and personally wiped Su Hao's sweat. The two of them had a deep relationship as siblings, and many people present were envious. Chu Jinling's nose immediately smelled something sour. He looked at Chu Yihan and saw that his face was cold, and there was a cold look in his eyes. He tried to court death. Imperial uncle, are you jealous? That's her biological brother. This jealousy was a little unreasonable. Chu Yihan snorted coldly and left with a flick of his sleeve. He held the jade pendant in his hand, wishing he could crush it to pieces. After taking 2 steps, his movements became much gentler. Su Hao wiped his sweat and said a few words to Su Yingxue. He was originally going to thank Chu Yihan. However, he and Chu Jinling had already left. Su Hao couldn't help but frown. The 9th prince left so quickly. At the mention of Chu Yihan, Su Yingxue wanted to roll her eyes. Brother, why are you looking for him? His Highness previously rewarded me with the blood-clotting grass to help me heal and also gave you 3 ginseng. He treated us extremely generously and we should kowtow to thank him, Su Hao said calmly. He gave you that blood-clotting grass? Su Yingxue frowned slightly, and the doubt in her heart deepened. She had no interactions with Chu Yihan in her previous life, but meeting him in this life, she felt as if she was being cursed by him. He even wore her jade pendant and dangled it in front of her eyes. Forget it. Let's thank him if there's a chance in the future. Brother, go and change. When Su Yingxue saw Su Hao covered in sweat, she immediately turned her attention to him. Su Hao nodded and left under everyone's admiring gazes. Su Yingxue noticed that after he left, Wu Jinyang also disappeared. She quietly took a detour around the general's resting place and met up with Jilan at the door. Jilan whispered, Second young master hasn't woken up yet. Don't worry, miss. Su Yingxue asked, has the manor made any arrangements? Jilan nodded. Old Madame Zhong is an elder in the Marquise Manor. Miss, you've been treating her well, so she will definitely do things properly for you. After everything was arranged, Su Yingxue prepared to go in and wait for Su Hao. As she was walking down the stairs, she stepped on something soft. She picked it up and saw that it was an exquisite embroidered sachet that was emitting a faint floral fragrance. Su Yingxue walked closer and could hear the voices of a man and a woman talking inside. Yang, you're here. You know my feelings, so why are you avoiding me? General, please have some self-respect. I have self-awareness, and am of humble origin, so I don't dare to have any delusions. Your future will definitely be limitless with your victory today. I wish you a happy and healthy life. Yang. Su Hao chased after Wu Jinyang and grabbed her hand, but he saw Su Yingxue and her servant at the door. Su Yingxue coughed lightly. Wu Jinyang took the opportunity to break free from Su Hao and left in a hurry. Su Yingxue stood at the entrance and could vaguely hear the servant girl's voice outside. Wu Jinyang, where the hell have you been? If you don't want to return to the manor, don't ever go back. Wu Jinyang quickened her pace. Su Hao stood on the spot and looked at his empty hand. His eyes were filled with pain. Su Yingxue walked to his side and patted his shoulder. Brother, don't be sad. Here, Miss Wu gave it to you. This is. Su Hao took a look. There was a Su character embroidered on the sachet, but he recognized that it was Wu Jinyang's work. I'm in Yang's heart. I'm going to find her. Su Hao, who had always been calm, revealed a trace of anxiety. Brother, don't chase after her. Miss Wu doesn't want to be involved with you in public, so she came up with this plan. If you chase after her rashly, you'll harm her. Su Yingxue advised. How did you know? Su Hao didn't know much about the inner residence, but he didn't believe that Wu Jinyang didn't have him in her heart at all. That's right, miss. You just picked up this sachet. How do you know that Miss Wu was going to give it to the eldest young master? How would you know that she did not want the eldest young master to look for her? Jilan puffed up her cheeks, and her watery eyes were filled with curiosity. Su Yingxue smiled faintly. Miss Wu has a strong heart and is neither servile nor overbearing. She knew that I would come to find brother, so she deliberately threw the sachet on the ground and waited for me to pick it up for brother. As for why she doesn't want brother to look for her, Su Yingxue looked at Su Hao with regret in her eyes. Brother, you're the first son of the Marquise Manor. You have a noble status and a bright future. Miss Wu's status doesn't match you. Chapter 18. Mysterious Doctor. I never cared about status. Yang is kind-hearted and noble. Even the princess can't compare to her. Su Hao's eyes were firm. Su Yingxue's eyes were filled with a hint of teasing. Brother, it seems like you like Miss Wu very much. Su Hao's handsome face blushed. He lowered his head and looked at the sachet, his expression turning serious. The first time he saw Jinyang, he felt that she was different from the rest. He was used to seeing pretentious women in the palace, but he had never seen a girl with such a pure heart. She pitied the poor and the weak, but she did not have the slightest bit of coquettishness. She's steady and calm, and she doesn't fight with the world. Being with her always makes one feel calm and fine. When Su Hao mentioned Wu Jinyang, the longing in his eyes was as dazzling as the clouds in the sky. When Su Yingxue heard this, she shook her head slightly. It's good to be steady and calm, but if she doesn't fight with the world, she won't be able to be with you. Why? Su Hao was slightly stunned. He realized that Su Yingxue had become exceptionally deep. Even he could not understand her anymore. Su Yingxue looked at Su Hao. Because you're a general, and you'll become an official in the future. You'll be inheriting the title of nobility. If your wife doesn't fight for it, how can she advance and retreat with you? Sister, you mean, brother, if Miss Wu has fallen in love with you, she will definitely work hard for you. To be able to predict that I would come to pick up the sachet and give it to you, it proves that she is also an intelligent woman. Su Hao held the sachet and smiled gently. She is smart, but she often makes me feel that she is difficult to approach. There will be a chance. Brother, you're tired today. Go back to the manor and rest early. Su Yingxue comforted him. Su Hao nodded and wanted to go back with her. Su Yingxue said that she still wanted to go shopping with Jilan, so Su Hao did not force her. Su Yingxue brought Jilan into the carriage but did not return with her. Jilan knew that Su Yingxue had other things to do, so she did not ask. However, she was curious. Miss, do you think Miss Wu will be with eldest young master? No emotions could be seen on Su Yingxue's beautiful face. Of course, it's good that brother can be with the person he loves. I think with your help, the eldest young master will definitely be able to get what he wants. Jilan blinked mischievously. Su Yingxue flicked her head. Do you know what I want to do? Miss will definitely help the eldest young master. Yes, you've become smarter. Su Yingxue patted Jilan's little head. Jilan smiled. It's not that I've become smarter, but it's you, miss. In the past, you only cared about pleasing others, but now you're using your ability to protect others. I'm protected by you, and so is the eldest young master. Su Yingxue's heart softened for a moment. Yes, she wanted to use her own ability to protect her loved ones. However, her current ability was not strong enough. She wanted to be stronger. Jilan returned to the manor to seal the news, and Su Yingxue went to the medical center alone. Manager Qi was a very efficient person. In just a few days, he had already bought over the surrounding shops and was renovating them. Upon seeing her, Manager Qi smiled and went out to welcome her. Miss, come and take a look. Are you satisfied with the progress? Su Yingxue looked around. Manager Qi had expanded the medical center and recruited new people. The scale of the center looked 3 times bigger than before. She nodded in satisfaction. Manager Qi, you've worked hard. This is what I should do. Manager Qi's eyes were filled with gratification. When he saw Su Yingxue, he felt hopeful. Su Yingxue brought him to the back hall and took out some rare medicinal herbs. She instructed him, release the news that the medical center will continuously supply good medicine. Moreover, it can cure all difficult and miscellaneous diseases. However, the number of medicines is limited, and the time of the attending physician is also limited. They'll need to make an appointment in advance. Manager Qi immediately understood. This can quickly increase the reputation of the center, but the doctor who's going to treat difficult and complicated diseases, will it be you, miss? Su Yingxue had shown him her skills that day, and he knew that Su Yingxue's medical skills were extraordinary. She must be like his old master, having the heart to treat patients and save people. Su Yingxue nodded. I can treat the illness, but I can't reveal my identity. Therefore, if a patient comes, come to the Marquise Manor to inform me first. Manager Qi understood Su Yingxue's concern. Don't worry, miss. But where did you get your herbs? It was normal for Manager Qi to have doubts. After all, the medicinal herbs that Su Yingxue casually took out were expensive. Manager Qi was afraid that she would be punished for doing things for the medical center. Don't worry, it's from legitimate channels, and they'll always supply them. You just have to look after the medical center. Su Yingxue did not explain too much to him. Manager Qi felt that she was mysterious, but she wasn't a talkative person, so he would run the center in peace. When the two of them came out, Su Yingxue saw a woman asking the clerk at the counter, Brother, this cold medicine contains ephedra, ladygrass, and swordgrass. They are all cheap herbs, so why do they cost so much? The clerk patiently replied, these 3 ingredients only cost $10 to $20. However, they also need to be mixed with cinnamon twigs and morning glory. Only by boiling them together and consuming them can the cold be cured. Therefore, this medicine costs 1 tael of silver. Wu Jinyang thought for a moment and pursed her lips. I only want these 3 medicines. Please calculate the cost of this medicine. But miss, with just these 3 ingredients, the medicinal effects will be greatly reduced and the illness will not be cured. It's okay. I picked the daphnes and will soak it in water. I'll also add chrysanthemum petals to boil with the medicine and then bathe with mugwort to ward off the cold. The clerk was in a difficult position, but he saw that Wu Jinyang often came to buy medicine and knew a little about her family's situation, so he followed her instructions and prescribed her new medicine. Su Yingxue raised her eyebrows and asked Manager Qi, "Do you recognize this lady? She seems to know a lot." Its minister was daughter. She often comes to our shop to buy medicine, and she even learned how to identify medicine from the old doctor. She also knows how to use spices. She can't afford many herbs, so she picks flowers and grasses herself. Manager Qi had a good impression of Wu Jinyang, but he felt sorry for her. They are both young misses from rich families. Others compete with each other for beauty, but Miss Jinyang pitied the poor and the weak. It's a pity that she has such a kind heart, but because her birth mother was born in a lowly family and she is the child of a concubine, sigh, if you want to defy the heavens and change your fate, why do you need to look at your background? Su Yingxu's eyes were sharp. She pointed at Wu Jinyang. Let her see the recruitment notice for the medical center. Miss wants to recruit her to the center. Manager Qi was slightly surprised. It depends on her wishes. Su Yingxue left after saying that. She saw Wu Jinyang walking in another direction with the medicine. There were no carriages or sedan chairs. She was dressed simply, but she strode forward with her head held high. She had an aura that ordinary people did not have. She could not help but take a few more glances at her. In her previous life, Su Hao died because of her, and he did not settle down and get married. It was likely that he always had Wu Jinyang in his heart, but they could not be together until death. In this life, she would not let this tragedy repeat itself. Chapter 19, Exposed in the Marquise Manor. Su Yingxue drugged Su Jinxian and made the people around him surrender, so he was unable to return to the Marquise Manor to report. Therefore, Su Yuro and Su Dingheng still did not know what had happened at the Wangjiang Tower. When she saw Su Yuro leisurely walking in the manor, she couldn't help but sneer. Younger sister has always been meek, why would you not listen to father's words? Su Yuro was shocked. Sister, what are you talking about? I just came out to relax. Her weak eyes were filled with vigilance. When she saw Su Yingxue, she was a little nervous. Su Yingxue's cold eyes carried a trace of arrogance. Father only grounded you for a month a few days ago. Now, you're slapping father in the face. Sister, do you really want me to be grounded that much? Could it be that you're the one who instigated that matter? Sister, I know I was wrong. Please don't treat me like this, okay? Su Yuro's small face turned pale, and tears began to fall as she spoke. 2 streams of tears hung on her cheeks, making one feel pity for her. What are you two doing? Su Dingheng walked over with a straight face. When he saw Su Yuro's face covered in tears, he subconsciously felt that she had been bullied by Su Yingxue again and wanted to teach her a lesson. Father, it's my fault. I only asked her a question. I was worried that she would ruin her health if she came out so rashly, but I made her cry. Su Yingxue's attitude changed and she was respectful to Su Dingheng, which stunned him. She was so humble, yet he still wanted to punish her. As her father, he had gone too far. Su Dingheng waved his hand. Forget it. Today is your brother's big day. He should be back soon. You should congratulate him later. Oh. Su Yingxue snorted coldly. Her face was filled with unwillingness and hatred. Seeing her like this, Su Yuro's lips curled into a proud smile. She was grounded and couldn't watch Su Jingxuan's competition. She didn't know if his plan had succeeded or if he had defeated Su Hao, but Su Yingxue had attended. Since she was so unhappy, Su Hao must have lost. Su Yuro laughed coldly in her heart. So what if they were both siblings? In the end, they were both defeated by her and her brother. Father, little brother has trained hard for today's martial arts competition. His body is exhausted. Father, why don't you get a ginseng from big brother and give it to him? Su Yuro held onto Su Dingheng's arm and pleaded softly. When your big brother comes back, I'll ask him for it. Su Dingheng patted Su Yuro's hand, looking exceptionally kind. Su Yingxue cooperated and revealed a look of disgust and unwillingness. Until Su Dingheng held a banquet to celebrate Su Jingxuan's victory, Su Jinxian still hadn't returned at night. In the hall, Su Yuro was pacing back and forth with a handkerchief in her hand. She kept sending people out, hurry up and look for my younger brother. Why isn't he back yet? Father has been waiting for him for so long. Su Dingheng also had an impatient look on his face. If it wasn't for the fact that Su Jinxian had won the competition, he would have lost his temper long ago. On the other hand, Su Yingshu's previous unwillingness had turned into calmness, causing Su Yuro to panic. She probed Su Yingxue. Sister, why didn't my younger brother come back? Why didn't big brother come back either? Did they get injured when they fought? She was testing whether her original plan had gone awry. Su Yingxue took a sip of tea. Eldest brother is indeed injured. Su Yuro immediately felt relieved. It was fine as long as Su Hao was injured. Su Jinxian would definitely harm him according to the original plan and win the competition. However, the group of people she had just sent out came back and said, "Second young miss, we didn't find the second young master, and what? Why were they still outside after the assessment and not coming back to celebrate? Pass on my words, tell him to scram back here." Even though he doted on Su Jinxian, Su Dingheng still lost his temper at this moment. Thinking of Su Hao's peace of mind, he couldn't help but feel a little guilty. The eldest young master was injured, send someone to bring some medicine over. No need, Su Hao's voice sounded faint. He was dressed in a black tight-fitting robe, and his bearing was extraordinary. Su Dingheng frowned slightly. Aren't you injured? Why aren't you resting in the house? It's just some superficial injuries. Su Hao's attitude towards Su Dingheng was indifferent. He naturally walked over to Su Yingxue and sat down. Brother, are you done resting? Su Yingxue winked at him playfully. Su Hao patted her head and smiled gently. Yes, so I came to ask second brother why he surrendered today and didn't even show his face. Su Yingxue smiled. It was indeed her big brother's style. What? Surrender? Su Yuro's face turned pale. How is that possible? Why would my brother surrender? He was clearly prepared. It was foolproof. Su Hao's injuries wouldn't recover so quickly. He had even prepared medicine. He would definitely defeat Su Hao. Why would he surrender? He surrendered. This unfilial son. Su Dingheng was so angry that he banged the table a few times. He was boasting shamelessly in front of me earlier, saying that he was confident that he would win and that he would be given an official position. He even asked me to throw him a big banquet to celebrate, but Su Dingheng's face was flushed red. The son he had doted on since he was young had actually done such an embarrassing thing. He wished he could give him a good beating. Father, don't you know that Su Jinxian surrendered? Su Yingxue looked at Su Dingheng curiously, and there was a trace of pity in her eyes. Su Dingheng was even angrier. He had a very dark expression. How would I know? His anger immediately turned to Su Yuro. Didn't you say that your brother won today? You also deceive me. The two of you are trying to anger me to death. Father, I don't dare to. Su Yuro immediately knelt down and cried her eyes out. Little brother is full of confidence. As his elder sister, how could I doubt him? Moreover, my younger brother has always been diligent in his studies and training. I thought that big brother would give him some guidance in the field. Who knew that he would be so scared that he would surrender? Boo-hoo, Su Yuro's sobs were filled with accusations towards Su Hao. Su Hao's face was serious, and his voice was sonorous. The martial general assessment is extremely strict. I will never back down, nor will I cheat for him. How can a useless man be a general? If he was like this on the battlefield in the future, where would he put the lives of the soldiers and civilians? What would happen to the reputation of our dynasty? Su Yuro had never been so harshly spoken before. She was so frightened that she didn't know what to say. Su Dingheng's face was also red from embarrassment. Hao is right. Jinxian was too outrageous. Rua, you're also deceiving your father with him. Su Dingheng was furious. The two children he had carefully nurtured had been performing worse than the other recently. He was really disappointed. Father, it's my fault. I'm willing. Before Su Yuro could finish her sentence, she lost her breath and fainted. Su Dingheng's anger had yet to subside, but his heart ached again. He quickly asked the servant maids to help Su Yuro back. Yuan Ruo was still thinking about the ginseng for Su Yuro. Marquis, if there is ginseng to be decocted and consumed, Miss Body will definitely recover faster. Chapter 20. The cause of her mother's death. Su Dingheng's heart was always biased towards Su Yuro. Seeing her faint, he could not help but look at Su Hao. Hao, go get a ginseng for your sister to nourish her body. Su Hao's expression was indifferent. The ginseng belongs to my younger sister. Rua is also your younger sister. Before Su Hao was going to blurt out that she wasn't, Su Yingxue beat him to it and said, "Father, brother didn't want to give her the ginseng, it's for her own good." She fainted because she was so angry. If she took the ginseng now, her internal fire would be so strong that it would directly take her life. This, Su Dingheng was shocked. Is it really that serious? Since father doesn't believe me, then let's try. It's not difficult to prepare the funeral in the manner. Su Yingxue looked at Su Hao gently. Brother, go get a ginseng for your younger sister. As for whether she can enjoy it, no need. Su Dingheng trembled. Your sister's body is weak. She can't take such nourishment. He turned to look at Yuan Ruo. You damn servant girl, are you trying to kill Rua? Hurry up and help her back to rest. Yuan Ruo did not get the ginseng, and Su Dingheng even berated her, causing her to shrink her neck and leave. A servant came to report to Su Dingheng, Marquis, the lords have come to congratulate you. When will the celebratory feast begin? Su Dingheng's face was suddenly filled with colors. This celebratory banquet was originally prepared for Su Jinxian. Who would have thought that this son of a bitch would not only do such an embarrassing thing, but he was also not showing his face now? Su Dingheng was helpless. He looked at Su Hao as if he was asking for help. Hao, since you won today, I've prepared a celebratory feast for you. I've even invited a few of your uncles. Look, he was so guilty that he didn't dare to keep looking at Su Hao. Su Hao was straightforward. Father prepared it for second brother. It's not convenient for me to appear, so I'll send my sister back first. After Su Hao finished speaking, he left with Su Yingxue. The siblings stood tall and straight, and their bearing was outstanding, making people admire them. Su Dingheng stomped his feet angrily in the living room. On the way back to the courtyard, Su Yingxue was still a little surprised. Brother, you have never lost your temper with father before, nor would you embarrass him. Tonight, he is destined to embarrass himself. Su Hao's face was tense, and his gentle eyes were covered with a layer of frost. He asked for it. It has nothing to do with me. You hate father. Su Yingxue was sensitive enough to notice that Su Hao's eyes flashed with a trace of blood. In her memory, Su Hao had always been indifferent to Su Dingheng. She thought that it was because Su Hao had been raised by his grandfather since he was young. However, it seemed that there were still things that she did not know. If I had a good father, mother wouldn't have died. You are also the beloved daughter of the Marquise Manor, and these years wouldn't have been so difficult. Su Hao closed his eyes to hide the pain in his eyes. Su Yingxue was shocked. Her mother had passed away after giving birth to her. She had never even seen her mother's face. In her previous life, she had never investigated the cause of her mother's death, but now she had to. Brother, who harmed mother? Su Yingxue wanted to know so badly. Su Hao's eyes suddenly became clear as he patted Su Yingxue's shoulder. It's my fault. Why did I bring this up? Mother is in heaven and will only hope that you and I will live well. Sister, rest early. Su Hao pushed Su Yingxue into the courtyard and turned around to leave. He knew that his sister was different from before. In the past, he couldn't even wait to protect her, so why would he mention their mother to her? Now that he knew that she was different, he only wanted her to live well. When Su Yingxue returned to the courtyard, she could not calm down for a long time. The cause of her mother's death lingered in her mind. She called old Madame Zhong over to ask. Old Madame Zhong looked troubled and stammered, Miss, it's better for you not to know about Madame's matters. Speak. Su Yingxue's eyes were bloodshot. Miss, please forgive me. At that time, I was not serving in the courtyard. I only heard that Madame had an affair with someone and was discovered by the old master. At that time, she had a hard time giving birth when she was pregnant with you. That's why she. Su Yingxue gritted her teeth. This is impossible. Although she had never seen her mother, she would never believe this. Old Madame Zhong was so frightened that she trembled. Miss Peerless' appearance was very similar to Madame's, and her pair of eyes were even more beautiful like glass. However, when she had hostile eyes, it made people afraid. Forget it. Su Yingxue closed her eyes and restrained her hostility. She wanted to investigate the cause of her mother's death. There was still a long way to go. The most important thing now was to grasp the power of the Marquise Manor in her hand. She took out dozens of taels of silver and gave them to old Madame Zhong. This is the salary for this month. You and Jilan will distribute it later. The other 5 taels are for your quick work today and not letting Su Yuro get wind of it. This. Thank you for your grace, miss. Old Madame Zhong happily kowtowed to Su Yingxue. She had originally suspected that Su Yingxue would not be able to take out the silver to treat them well, but now that she had the silver in her hands, this heavy feeling made her even more determined to be loyal to Su Yingxue. Su Yingxue received news from Manager Qi that a patient had already come to make an appointment. She told old Madame Zhong to look after the courtyard and took Jilan to the medical center. Manager Qi was waiting for her in the inner hall and even prepared a black bamboo hat for her. Miss, this patient is generous. He paid 1,000 taels of silver as a deposit and said that if Miss can cure the patient, he will give you an even more generous reward. Su Yingxue's gaze swept past the plate of silver ingots. I understand. Miss, the carriage is waiting in the rear courtyard to bring you over. Su Yingxue nodded. Before she left, she asked her, did Miss Wu see the recruitment notice? Did she come to apply? Manager Qi shook his head. I specially sent someone to the minister's estate to send out a few advertisements, but I didn't see Miss Wu come. I believe that Miss Wu, as the miss of the minister's estate, even if she wanted to work in the medical center, she wouldn't be allowed. It was not easy for a woman to come out to work, let alone the daughter of the minister's estate. Su Yingxue's eyes were filled with pity. If Wu Jinyang could not even solve this small matter, then her ability was indeed not worthy of Su Hao. Su Yingxue was dressed in a black outfit and a black bamboo hat. She got into a low-key and luxurious carriage. There was a fine wool blanket in the car and an incense burner. The smoke curled up, making it especially relaxing. However, Su Yingxue began to calculate the patient's identity. It had been 5 minutes since the carriage left the center, and the outside of the carriage had gone from bustling to dead silent. She was carried into the manor by a sedan chair, and there was not even a cough. What a strict place. Doctor, we're here. Su Yingxue alighted from the carriage at the entrance of a courtyard. The courtyard exuded a dignified and cold aura. The pillars painted with red sandalwood and gold indicated the owner's rich financial resources. The coiling dragon pattern on the pillar indicated his identity. The people of the royal family were dragons among men. Which prince's mansion was this? Su Yingxue was puzzled as she walked. When she missed Chu Changye, she went to his mansion. It was very imposing, but it was far from being as majestic as this place. Su Yingxue could not guess the patient's identity, and her eyes had a trace of doubt. Chapter 21. She was locked in Chu Yihan's room. Su Yingxue walked into the room with doubts. The luxurious and elegant room had the fragrance of light bamboo leaves. She walked around the screen and saw a hand reaching out from the bed. She sat down and wanted to check that person's pulse. However, just as she pressed her fingers on the wrist, she was pulled into the curtain. Su Yingxue was pinned down by someone. She tried her best to prop herself up against the man's chest, and her eyes were filled with disgust. You're on my bed, and yet you're telling me to scram? The man's magnetic voice was like a soft snake coiling around Su Yingxue's body. Ninth Prince. Su Yingxue's brain exploded. What kind of plot was this? She was actually tricked into this man's bed. Oh no, he was the one who dragged her to bed. She was not stupid enough to be tricked into bed. But was this the main point? The point was, this man shamelessly teased, your reaction is a little cute. Cute my foot. Despite her status and upbringing, Su Yingxue could not help but curse. Since you scolded me, you must be prepared to be punished. Through the black veil, Su Yingxue saw the dark color in the man's eyes. It was something she did not understand, but it was something she was instinctively afraid of. Only a fool would wait to be punished by him. The smart Su Yingxue would naturally negotiate with him directly. Your Highness, your old injuries have yet to heal. Did you take the medicine I mentioned last time? Chu Yihan placed his hands on both sides of her head, and half of his weight was on her. Su Yingxue gritted her teeth. Very good, this man was very heavy. That's why you paid a lot of money to invite me over, because something is wrong with your body. Chu Yihan nodded. Yes. Every time he said a word, his breath would hit Su Yingxue's face. So let me treat you, Your Highness. What if he dies if she was too late? Chu Yihan chuckled. All right. Your Highness, let me get up first. There's no way to treat you like this. Su Yingxue struggled to push him away, but she was not surprised to find that she could not move him. Chu Yihan deliberately suppressed her a little more. His low and hoarse laughter carried a hint of disdain. The medical center has been boasting about you, but now you can't treat patients like that. You should tear down the signboard as soon as possible. Chu Yihan's eyes were still smiling a moment ago, but the next moment, he suddenly stood up and vomited. Su Yingxue took the opportunity to jump off the bed. The corners of her mouth curled up into a provocative arc. Your Highness, are you still going to smash the signboard of the medical center? Chu Yihan placed his finger on the tip of his nose and frowned slightly. It's sweet. Su Yingxue nodded and smiled. Your Highness, you took my medicine, so there's the smell of ephedra on your body. The melon stem and ephedra have an extremely good effect on inducing vomiting. Since you have tried it, how do you feel? Not bad. Chu Yihan lifted his robe and sat down. He didn't show any anger after being teased by Su Yingxue. But Su Yingxue was furious. This deception and advantage-taking were forgotten just like that. Your Highness, when do you plan to return the jade pendant to me? Su Yingxue's eyes were fixed on Chu Yihan's waist. Chu Yihan held the jade pendant in his hand and gently brushed it with his fingers. His delicate movements were like caressing a woman's skin. There was a hint of laziness on his fairy-like face. There are no such plans for the time being. Su Yingxue smiled. Very good. Then it's better to find someone else to treat your old illness. This stinky prince can go to hell. Su Yingxue suppressed her anger and turned around to leave. Chu Yihan pulled out a handkerchief and said leisurely, the first daughter of the Marquise Manor tried to harm me. If I were to investigate this matter, it should be fascinating. Su Yingxue's eyes were cold. Your Highness, you're framing me. Although the medicine you prescribed for me has the effect of healing, it can also weaken my body, allowing you to find an opportunity to steal the jade pendant. Chu Yihan casually exposed Su Yingxue's thoughts. Su Yingxue frowned slightly. So what? You, the dignified ninth prince, stole someone else's jade pendant. I senti that. The word shameless was still on the tip of her tongue when Su Yingxue's eyes widened. Bastard. When did he steal her handkerchief? Chu Yihan also kept Su Yingxue's handkerchief in his pocket. It's another matter if I'm shameless, but your handkerchief is an apology to me. Chu Yihan, give it back to me. Su Yingxue could not help but pounce on him. The two people were entangled, but Su Yingxue was at a disadvantage. Chu Yihan locked her in his room and let her scream. Su Yingxue's temper, which she had been suppressing for a long time, exploded at Chu Yihan. How long do you want to keep me here? This bastard prince. Chu Yihan's lips curled into a gentle smile when he heard her voice. Mo Chi's mouth twitched as he listened from outside the courtyard. Master, how long do you want to keep Miss Su here? Let her go tomorrow. Can I ask you something? Chu Yihan was in a good mood after deceiving Su Yingxue. Speak. Aren't you afraid that Miss Su will hate you to death? Who would chase a girl like this? The first time he stole the jade pendant, the second time he locked her in the bedroom, the third time. He really couldn't understand his master's train of thought. Weren't there too many roundabouts? Chu Yihan looked at him with disdain. You don't have a woman you like. How would you understand? Letting a woman stay in a room filled with his scent for a night would definitely leave a deep impression on her heart. Mo Chi lowered his head. If he could, he would never want to know. Afraid of being single for a lifetime. Su Yingxue gritted her teeth. She had thought of all the possible ways to get out of Chu Yihan's room. She even tore down the roof. She was tired from all this, so she simply fell asleep on Chu Yihan's bed. Marquise Manor, Sunset Court. Su Yuro was grounded as a punishment. She tossed and turned for several nights without a good rest, and her eyes were swollen like 2 walnuts. Yuan Ruo brought over breakfast. Su Yuro was disgusted by it. What is this? There's not even any meat or fish. I don't want to eat it. Miss, this is the Marquis' order. He said that your body is not well and that you should have a light diet. Does father not dote on me anymore? Su Yingxue was eating well, but I have to eat this. Looking at the plain porridge and side dishes, Su Yuro became even angrier. However, something suddenly flashed across her mind and she curled her lips evilly. That's right. My good sister doesn't need to eat plain porridge and side dishes now. Wouldn't it be good if I went to eat some of hers? She asked Yuan Ruo to fetch some food from the kitchen and brought it to Su Yingxue's courtyard. She wanted to torture her with breakfast, but when she reached the door, she realized that the courtyard door was closed and it was quiet inside. She instructed Yuan Ruo to knock on the door. Old Madame Zhong came to open the door and looked at her warily, saying that the young lady had not gotten up yet. Su Yuro observed from the side and asked around in the Marquise manner. She came to a conclusion. Su Yingxue did not return to the residence last night. Yuan Ruo heard the news and quickly smiled and said, Miss, she did not return for the night. She must be doing something shameful outside. Let's hurry and inform the Marquis. This time, the Marquis will definitely punish her severely. Su Yuro was overwhelmed with joy and hurried toward Su Dingheng's courtyard. However, before she could step in, her face immediately turned cold. No, only father's punishment is not enough. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.